makes a leader worth following? Is it rank, recognition, the ability to inspire, or simply showing up first when it matters the most? In this special episode of Rebooting the Brain, Dr. Sharan Srinivasan is joined by retired Major General Ravi Murugan, decorated with the Param Vishishta Seva Medal and the Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, among the highest military honors for distinguished service to the nation. From the icy altitudes of Siachen, the world's highest battlefield, to the volatile front lines of the line of control, from leading combat patrols under fire to shaping leadership within the army and beyond, Major General Murugan's life is not just a story of gallantry. It's a blueprint for integrity, discipline, and thinking under pressure. He believes the army is not about war, it's about people, about values passed down through silence and sweat, about leading from the front. Whether you're at 19,000 feet in the combat gear or in a Bangalore boardroom solving for infrastructure and systems. This episode takes you across domains, from combat zones to construction sites, from training soldiers to mentoring civilians, from nation building to parenting, and from discipline as habit to leadership as moral clarity. We dive into stories of soldiers risking everything because they trust who's leading them, of battle-hardened platoons, mountain patrols, and moments where seconds meant survival, of fitness not as a routine but as a keystone habit that defines readiness and culture, and of the difference between being in charge and truly taking responsibility. Major General Murugan doesn't mince words. He challenges assumptions about entitlement, shortcuts, work-life balance, and the way we are raising the next generation. He calls for a deeper national consciousness, where pride, ownership, and excellence are lived values, not just campaign slogans. What does it mean to serve, not just in uniform, but as a citizen, a parent, a professional? What happens when you treat time, systems, and people with intention? And what is the quiet power of showing up again and again, even when no one is watching?
This conversation is about ruthless compassion, the kind that holds people to high standards without compromise, yet never loses sight of humanity.
This is Rebooting the Brain, and this episode is a masterclass in leadership, ethos, and national responsibility.
Regimentation primarily was a British word, during the First World War. The British lost the flower of their youth. The casualties are extremely far high because, the First World War was fought by two armies in trenches. So it was that predictable that at the blow of a whistle, one lot would get up, clamber over their trenches, go across no man's land, and attack the other ones who are
coming on the
trenches,
outer
who are
in trenches.
inside the trenches. So, and then
they were sitting ducks.
They would be beaten back, and many of them would die on the battlefield. Some would be wounded, rest would straggle back. So, and then the other side would do the same thing. So it was foolishness. But so the casualties were extremely high.
ജ്ഞാനാനന്ദമയം ദേവം നിർമ്മലസ്ഫടികാകൃതിം ആധാരം സർവവിദ്യാനാം ഹയഗ്രീവം ഉപാസ്മഹേ ആധാരം സർവവിദ്യാനാം ഹയഗ്രീവ ഉപാസ്മഹേ ഹയഗ്രീവ ഉപാസ്മഹേ.
Rebooting the Brain, powered by PRS Neurosciences.
Namaste, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of the trending podcast, Rebooting the Brain. And before we start the show, the customary prayer. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This shloka has been a big inspiration and driver for me from many, many decades. And as the shloka says, from darkness to light, from ignorance to the truth, and from death to immortality. I believe that you can use these messages in any way, any aspect of your life, and seek your own answers, seek your own way to become a better human being, a more productive citizen of this country. So, hi everybody, my name is Dr. Sharan Srinivasan, and I'm a stereotactic and functional neurosurgeon from Bengaluru, India. And keeping up with our tradition of getting some very eminent people to be on the podcast today, we have an extraordinary gentleman here who's going to share his wisdom, his views, and everything that he has gone through, his experience, and otherwise, which is extraordinary. So, he is a retired Major General from the Army. And let me introduce you to the guest of the show, Major General Retired Ravi Murugan. Sir, welcome to our show. He is a highly decorated Army officer, PVSM, AVSM, and many other recognitions from the government. We will hear from him. And for those who don't know the expansion, PVSM is Param Vishishta Seva Medal, which is the highest distinguished honor that the Army gives in peacetime to any of their cadre. And Ati Vishishta Seva Medal is AVSM. And the video that you saw in the beginning was him receiving the PVSM from none other than the President of India. So, Major General Saab, welcome to our show. Thank you for coming here.
The introduction is very kind, and thank you so much, Dr. Sharan, for having me here.
My pleasure.
So I really look forward to this interaction.
Absolutely, and we'll start with that. That moving video that we saw of you receiving the medal. I am a brother-in-law who is also a current serving Major General in the Army. So I know what we go through as a family of if you have an armed forces guy, a person there. And when, we don't hear from him, especially of what is going on. So tell us, in brief of the PVSM and AVSM and what made the armed forces identify you as one of those distinguished officers?
Well, the Army is, as most people know, it's the largest or maybe the second largest organization in the country. Railways may just be the largest. So, and as I tell many people, the Army is not made up of people. The Army is people.
Correct.
It is, the Army stands for people.
Correct.
So, amongst people, you have, it's an hierarchical organization. Absolutely. And you obviously have leaders amongst them, and you have an officer cadre which leads from the front, and our Army is extremely well known for that.
Absolutely.
So the Army recognizes everybody does their work, right? And a lot of times a luck plays into it that your work gets highlighted. But the Army acknowledges contribution. Wherever there is organizational contribution, wherever value is being added, the Army recognizes that. So there are two kinds of awards.
Okay.
One is a gallantry award.
Correct.
Gallantry award is for a specific action.
Correct.
So let's say in combat, in operations, an individual carries out an action which is above and beyond the call of duty. He gets awarded a gallantry award for a specific act.
Like the Veer Chakras.
Absolutely. The Chakra series,
yeah.
And, whether in peacetime or wartime, you have the Chakra series, which are the gallantry
Correct.
awards. Whereas the distinguished series awards are not for a specific action. It is for a body of work.
Over a period of time.
In a specific appointment. So the Ati Vishishta Seva medal I got when I was the general officer commanding of a counterinsurgency force in Jammu and Kashmir. So for that period I served there, the Army thought and felt that the contributions were merit worthy, and they gave me awarded me the Ati Vishishta Seva medal. And subsequent to that, I was posted in the Army headquarters in the Military Operations Directorate. And from there, I came to Bengaluru as the General Officer commanding Karnataka and Kerala sub-area.
Correct.
So for that entire period, acknowledging the effort and the work put in, the Army probably felt that I merited award of the Param Vishishta Seva Medal. And therefore, I was awarded that. So it is
Fantastic.
for the body of work, and it is for the perceived value which is being
Got it.
added in that organization.
God, I think that the summary that you gave very clearly fits into the motto that you have given us,
Yeah.
which is live with honor, serve with courage, and lead by example. And
Absolutely.
probably the army identified that, you have done that and, taken it. And when we were chatting in multiple occasions, I could see the glint in your eyes when you spoke about leadership and how, I could see that you are one of the leaders who was dirting his hands on the ground. You were there, right there. You're not sitting,
Right.
not in an air-conditioned room and directing somebody else. So let me start with a very simple question to you. In your mind, what is your definition of leadership or a good leader?
Right. No, that's a great question. And it's a great question because it's applicable not only for the Army,
True.
it is applicable across all domains.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't matter. You could be in private sector, you could be leading a company of 10 people or 1,000 people, you could be in government, you could be in the military, you could be in uniform. But
And anywhere in the
leadership
world.
is essential.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere, exactly. It's not India related or
Correct.
country related.
Correct.
So if you ask me to give you a one-line definition of leadership, this actually impacted me very profoundly. I read, the present Pope,
Okay.
John Paul III.
I'm not sure.
So the present Pope, I read one of his statements, and the statement was extremely profound. He said, "Preach the gospel always. If necessary, talk." So that is the essence of leadership. The essence of leadership is exemplary. It is by example.
Correct.
So people follow what they see. People believe what they see. So
Correct.
it is not what you say. And you say something, you do something. Obviously, it's never going
The
to
audio
resonate.
and video has to match.
Yeah, absolutely. So the lesser you speak and the more you demonstrate,
Fantastic.
that is exactly what resonates with people, and they follow that. And I'm happy to say, I retired from the Army, life of uniform, after 37 years.
37 years of
And that
distinguished
doesn't
service.
include your training period where you're also in uniform, 3 years of NDA, National Defense Academy, 1 year of Indian Military Academy.
So more than 40 years.
41 years actually,
41 years.
some kind of uniform. Indian Army epitomizes this concept of leadership. We, since the time we enter the Army as young commissioned officers, this is driven home that it isn't enough to say, you will have to do. And right from the time when I joined my battalion when we were, in the mountains in Chishul at that time, 1987. And I still remember that the first thing they said is that you need to now be part of the group you're leading. And for that, you have to do first, and they will follow what you do.
Correct.
So this exemplary, to lead by example has always been the ethos of the Indian Army. If you look at it, we have, what is the gold standard for measuring that?
Okay.
The gold standard for measuring that is you have to compare the casualties of your, whenever in operations, of your officers vis-a-vis the men. And you will find that our casualties of officers is extremely high. Why?
Really?
Because they're leading from front.
Got it.
So if you're not leading from front, you're not going to be,
True.
a casualty.
Right,
But
yeah.
when you compare ratios, it would probably be the highest in the world.
Really?
It should be. I mean, I'm giving you anecdotal figures. So, but if you look at it empirically also, I'm sure it will bear out that it should be the highest in the world. Because for two reasons. One, I don't think you have many armies which have the experience which we have in operations.
Real operations. Not virtual operations.
Correct.
And not
in actual operations.
Yeah.
And second, because of the ethos wherein we lead from the front. Whereas in many other European armies, to my mind, they follow a strictly task-oriented concept. If my job is to be a commander of a section, then I'm not going to go with a smaller team. Or if my job is is a company commander, I will not go with a smaller team. We don't follow that. Wherever risks are high in the Indian Army, you would find that it is officer led.
Oh, I was
So
always wondering
it's
why would so many officers lay down their lives
because they
by.
lead from the front. You would
I
see
didn't
that
never
even in the
realize.
Kargil conflict.
Yes,
That's exactly
yes.
what it
Even
is.
recently we lost two
Yeah,
officers.
that's right.
Yeah, recently we lost two
Even
officers.
in asymmetric or let's say counterinsurgency or proxy counter proxy war operations, you find those in JNK anti-terrorist operations. You'll find that officer casualties are high because they lead from the front. And axiomatically, when you lead from the front, you are at the highest risk.
True, absolutely.
So to come back to your question, leadership is critical. And leadership is critical because it brings out the best in a cohort.
Chief is in front of me,
Exactly.
and
So
they can trust him to take the decisions to make the right
they
things.
have
in their
implicit faith.
Yes,
You require to
implicit
have faith.
Correct.
So the implicit faith which comes out of it, that whether risky or not risky, he knows best. Right.
Wow.
So our lives are in his hands because he's demonstrating that he's putting his own life at risk.
Yeah.
So those
Fantastic.
things are extremely critical. And
Amazing. You're very right. So implicit faith comes because he's put his life before their lives.
Absolutely.
I mean, what more can you? What more validation do you want?
That's right. And there are so many examples of this. My unit was an infantry unit before we got converted to a mechanized infantry unit.
Okay.
Now, infantry is our foot soldiers, and mechanized infantry is platform bound.
Correct.
So I still remember we were deployed at that time in one of the strife areas in the northeast. And so as I had how many, I think 8 years service or so. I was, as usual going in front, and that was a high risk area. I still remember that, the people who were behind me, the so-called scouts, they said that, no, you need to move back. So they are more bothered now, because they feel that you're putting yourself at unnecessary risk. So they want to ask you to stop doing that. So that shows that they have, bought into this whole concept of being led. So now they are, wanting to protect the leadership.
Correct.
So those are things I think the Indian Army epitomizes the best in combat leadership, I think.
Amazing.
That is my experience in this. Because I speak from, of course, only the experience of the Indian Army and some visibility into foreign armies. I had a United Nations mission in Angola, and then subsequently I was the defense attaché in the United States.
But this combat leadership,
right?
I think I like that phrase, because what I'm getting is like when I'm operating on a very critical situation, I'm also in combat, literally.
Right.
Trying to save that life.
Death, yeah.
Yes, literally, the brain is misbehaving. What do I do? So I think, can you now take it one level deeper and tell? I mean, I'd love to hear from you, and the viewers would love to. Combat leadership means what? Because I'm quite sure they can extrapolate it in a crisis situation. Because combat means crisis, or a specific situation. Can you sort of give us some wisdom on that?
See, by combat leadership, what I mean is, now you have to make decisions and take actions where there is something at stake.
Okay.
And in the army parlance, there are lives at stake.
Correct.
The lives could
or
be...
a land at stake.
Yeah. And by lives, I mean your own lives or somebody else's lives.
Okay, correct.
It could be collateral. It could be somebody...
the public also. Yes.
So that is as far as within the borders counter, insurgency goes. And when you talk about conventional operations, it is your own people's lives. So
correct.
The acme of a commander is to protect the lives of his own people while achieving mission objectives.
Correct.
That is the acme of any good commander.
Correct.
So a combat leader obviously cannot be a reckless person. A lot of people relate when I say that lead from front is that they blindly charge forward. It is not so. He has to be a thinking man.
Exactly.
He has to reduce risks while taking those which are acceptable risks in achieving mission objectives. So he has to be a logical person, an intelligent man, a thinking person who's able to prepare grounds wherein to give decisions. He does that well, and then now when he gives the decision, now he has to show that whatever are the risks now there, he's party to that. So in combat leadership, once you have passed, you're given directions or you're passed your orders, you now have to follow the same orders which you have passed. So putting yourself at the same risk as you're putting the others in. Of course, I mean, that is the simplistic way of putting it. But as you go higher and as you become more senior, obviously you are not going to be, your job function is not to lead people into combat. You become more into the planning, you're more into
The
orchestrating force.
strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. The operational level and the strategic level. So,
But unless you are on the ground,
you wouldn't know the
you can't
context.
envision. Yeah, you want the
The
context.
context is not
Yes,
known.
absolutely.
And you become far more, what should I say, immune to putting people at risk. You don't understand the human element of it.
Because I remember you shared how you went into your first posting in Siachen as a young officer, and you came out 2 years later battle hardened. And that was the statement that you made. And actually, that moved me. So, can you tell us what made you make that statement?
Yeah, the year which it is not that I went I went as part of my unit. My unit
that's what.
moved to the Siachen Glacier. As I said, the first posting was in Chishul. From there, we moved into the glacier.
For the viewers who do not know, Siachen is the world's highest battleground in the most inhospitable terrain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's
And
how
those
much?
times it was
19,000 feet?
yeah, I mean, varying. You have from say 12,000 to maybe up to 21,000.
21,000 feet in the Himalayas.
So exactly. And more importantly, the environmental conditions need to be known, and that is, one, you are an extremely treacherous terrain. This is completely glacier bound, right? And with crevices, avalanches which occur on an extremely frequent basis. That is number one. So you're fighting the elements. That is the first thing. You have oxygen content, which is hardly 10% or 15% of that existing at the plain level. So taking a few steps is taxing. It affects your breath. You have to stop, and it has so many other medical connotations to this. And these are all
acute pulmonary edema and all of those.
And it's all well documented. So I wouldn't want to highlight the environmental risks on it, but also.
No, but you should just tell. It's not about highlighting. But see, environment is as important for you have to fight so many different things. And what's going on here, when you look at that, you can't breathe and things like that. So, you're a human being at the end of the day. You can't pretend that you're an army officer and, eliminate all the fear, because obviously you're
going to be affected.
Yes.
So, your physical capacities get compromised and challenged radically. Yeah, yes. Fully. It's not only that, even your thinking capacity, because as oxygen is lesser, your ability to think through situations becomes problematic. Yes. Confusion is there, diet gets affected, and so many other aspects which compromise your ability to function as you would function at a much lower altitude. Nearly your first posting.
Correct.
And you are put in charge of a group of people. I still remember we went, I was in charge of a platoon, which is about 30 to 35 people. Mm-hmm. And you have to now make those decisions which are going to decide, one, the safety and security of that post itself. Because, mind you, at that time, it was an active line of control.
What time? Which year?
You're talking about 1988. That's 1988 to 1990.
Oh, that's when the militancy was really...
Not militant. This is with the...
the Pakistan...
it's called the actual ground position line. You have a line of control.
Okay.
Then as you go into the glaciated terrain, it's called the actual ground position line, AGPL.
Okay.
So that was an active one. Okay. There's exchange of fire used to be commonplace, which is happening then.
And you said you could see them close by.
Yeah, because the posts are very close.
Okay. How close is close?
Yeah. So in the glacier, you would have, let's say, 500 meters, you would have...
Really?
Yeah. But on the line of control, you will have much lesser. You would have 40 meters, 30 meters. So, yes, there are. Because these are lines which have been demarcated, and it has not been, it's not a boundary.
Correct.
So wherever you are in possession, you put your post there so that you don't lose territory. Right. So these positions are extremely close. In fact, and many posts you can hear conversations also which are happening across.
Crazy.
Some of them are that close. So so when you're made in charge of that, you have to grow up extremely fast.
I can imagine.
So the challenges are quite a bit, but it's also a learning experience. This is takes me to the my belief is that this experience beats intelligence 10 times out of 10.
You told me that.
I firmly believe that. It's
experience beats.
It's a given.
Intelligence.
So when I'm put through that experience, at a very relatively young age and relatively young, service
Correct.
bracket, I come out completely empowered.
Correct.
Because certain situations are not new to me then. So I have been through that familiarity process. So I'm able to, respond much faster rather than being hesitant about what to do.
Correct.
And the faster,
They call baptism by fire, as they say.
so to say, So, and it has not only challenges, but also how to manage people, how to lead people in these circumstances. Those things get driven on because some things work. See, ultimately, not only in the army, of course, a lot of things are, we'll come to that, regimented, is in terms of, you follow anecdotal examples. You see somebody senior to you functioning in a certain way, you automatically take lessons from that. So those examples are in front of you. So you follow an anecdotal form of leadership. But ultimately, it is only when you've gone through that experience, are you able to, form those matrix of judgment in your mind, wherein you are able to respond to leadership situations.
True. Like 3-dimensionally or 5-dimensional is what you say.
Yeah.
Like how when we go into the surgeon and actually see that, only then you know,
exactly.
this is what it actually means. Yes, I can imagine. Yes, I can see. I can draw parallels very quickly.
So my advice to the younger, and I read, by the way, Subroto Bagchi. I like the way he writes.
Okay.
Right.
The Mindtree guy.
You should see his blog post.
Okay.
So one of the things I remember reading about him and one of his articles, and that he states this. And this is for the generation, and it's not even for the current generation. Let's say a generation before also, he says the same thing. Because that is the vintage of that article. He said the problem is a lot of people want to be parachuted into positions of authority and positions of influence. They don't want to get that, the word you use, they don't want to get their hands dirty, ground up. It is extremely necessary for especially leadership positions. You have to get your hands dirty, ground up.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
You have to do the heavy lifting. You can't avoid the heavy lifting. So some of our, the thought process in some of the newer generation is that, I don't need to go through this. I can circumvent it and reach there. It doesn't happen.
Entitled mentality or whatever you call it.
It is not merit-worthy, right? It is not needed, but it is essential. There is no doubt about it. It is essential. So it's unless you go through, and he says that very clearly. He says that we need people who can get their hands dirty. Once you get your hands dirty, you know exactly what it involves. So now when you are in a leadership position, you make decisions from a position of information.
Correct.
You don't make positions from decisions from a position of assumptions.
Correct.
You assume so many things otherwise. Correct. Like I may assume things about your life which I have no information about. So that
or you get fed the wrong information and you take an action based on that. That's the even worse. Even worse.
As far as leadership goes, this is extremely important. So again, I'm extremely happy that the army follows that again as a matter of routine. We do that again through this whole process of regiment. We follow this. We put a person through those situations wherein he grows with that experience.
And you did mention that you crossed a very treacherous path during your first posting.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, and tell us about that. I think that was quite inspiring.
Of course, geographically, we were in a place in the glacier, and then there is a pass which connects it to, subsequently, I'm talking about, as I said, 1988, 90. Correct. So it connects to the Kargil sector, which came up, came in the news during the Kargil war in 2000. But so there is a patrol which connects it. I still remember the pass name. Of course, it was in the news also during the Kargil war. I think Lieutenant Hanifuddin. There's a Hanifuddin sector.
Correct.
So
he's the one who gave up his life at that time. But he protected the pass or something. I remember that.
Chorbatla.
Yes, Chorbatla. I remember that.
My patrol was the first one to go across Chorbatla from the glaciated terrain to Kargil.
Okay.
The proper at that time Kargil was had a formation there. And I still remember when I entered the headquarters that the officer was so surprised. He said, "Where have you come from?" So I said, "From there." He says, "No, there is no way you could have come from there." And but we made it. But the problem was, as I told you at that time, we started with 30. And the terrain was so difficult. Only 4 of us managed to finally cross the pass. The
Whoa.
rest had to go back because they couldn't negotiate the pass.
I can imagine. But are you taught mountaineering skills and all
Yeah.
that as a part of going there?
Yeah, that's right. So you have orientation training, which happens for every battalion which enters the glacier.
Okay.
In fact, they call it a battle school.
Okay.
And certain people are nominated to attend, technical courses like in the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute, Nehru Institute of Mountaineering in Uttarkashi.
I've heard that.
So in these mountaineering schools, you attend certain specialist courses. So I was also, before this, I was sent to attend a mountaineering course in the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, Uttarkashi. And I did that, and definitely it's of great help. It gives you confidence again that you are able to negotiate, those kind of mountain features or snow features which otherwise are daunting.
So I can see very early in your posting that you're willing to take the risk, push the extra mile, go where the unknown is, or at least not shy away. But everybody's going back. Should I also go back? Maybe I'm being foolhardy. No, I think it reflects eventually on the acknowledgement the army has given for you. It can't be an accident that the PVSM and AVSM has happened because of the fact that over time you must have consistently demonstrated this. But you said two very important things in this whole thing. One is regimentation that we want to come to, but the getting the hands dirty. I want to make my own comment. Even today, if there's some problem, I can roll my sleeve up and get the job done on the ground. So then the ground also watches that he is no longer instructing.
Exactly.
He is willing to do that and be. So they get so much of confidence. So you please be around. We will do.
Absolutely.
They just want that,
assurance.
Assurance that if something has happens, I know he's there and he will back us up. So I think that is very important. It also keeps our knife sharp.
Absolutely.
We also should, I tell my boys every time, you have to keep your knife sharp. You have to be on the ground because the ground is the one that gives us the information.
Absolutely.
The ground sings songs that you will not hear anywhere else.
Right.
That you
and
have
more
to
importantly, see, it also conveys the sentiment of ownership.
Correct.
When you start doing it, you are owning that task and the job. It is not yours.
Correct.
It is ours.
Correct. Exactly. Well said.
So at once, unless you're participative, then your leadership function you're not fulfilling to its optimum. So you have to be participative in these. So you're absolutely right. You, as you said about yourself, and of course you have. See, the other, from a personal point of view, I also feel why it is important is there should be nothing which you are asking somebody to do in your domain of specialization, which you can't do yourself.
Correct.
Because the day you are not able to do something yourself, you are ceding ground from that leadership position of yours. Because then somebody can say, whom you're leading, and this is primarily for the private sector also.
Correct.
If he can't do this and I can do this, then why should he be in a position wherein he's directing me unless he's doing something better in some other domain?
Well said.
So you better
can't be a time-bound promotion.
Absolutely.
It has to be competence-bound.
Yes,
I think merit and meritocracy and competence should be the only way forward. I think that's the... And sports is no better place to exemplify that because you deliver it, you are there. Nobody cares. You can leapfrog so many people and get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's appropriate.
And it's not easy. This is the other thing which people again for this new generation. I'm sorry, I must be alienating the new generation. I'm talking about a majority thought processes. Excellence is easy. Right? That's a lot of people think it is easy. It is not easy.
Daye haath ka khel or whatever you call it, daye baye.
It doesn't happen easily. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of commitment.
Ask me.
It takes a lot of practice. So unless you do all that, you don't reach that standard. You will reach some video. See, I see it. I think I should take this opportunity to one more message for the industry community.
Sure.
Now, Bangalore, there is a lot of construction which is perpetually going on.
Correct.
So, and whenever you go to any of these houses and these, it could be a very renowned builder also. There is, even if, an expensive house you go in, the finish is poor. You would find the slopes are not okay. The walls have not been plastered uniformly. There would be issues in, let's say, the plumbing is not straight. So it shows a lack of, passion and a lack of standards in how you deliver in that particular service. So it is extremely important, and it should not be that a mason should learn hands-on. There should be some kind of a process wherein he meets basic requirements, industry standards. So all these, and my message in this is, these big builders who are building everywhere, why don't they open a training institute wherein they are training people, that will help in skilling India also, because
Correct.
not every job
It's a
needs to
brilliant
be a
idea.
neurosurgeon.
Correct.
They should open institutes wherein they skill these hands-on tradesmen, a plumber, the mason, a carpenter, an electrician, and
Brilliant
good ones
idea.
get
And
very
it's
well paid.
hands-on. It's hands-on.
And the accountability on these builders is you will use them for 5 years in your projects. After that, based on his competence, he can pick and choose where he
Where he
wishes to
wants
go. But 5 years you will use in your project so that you train them well. So the government needs to mandate it, especially the big builders, they need to open these institutes.
I hope there's somebody from the government is listening. I think the Major General Saab is giving a fantastic idea, because I think there's no other escape to that. I think the IT industry did this finally, because the Infosys and all, they have their own training institute
Absolutely.
in Chennai, because, in Mysore, because they realize that, they're not industry ready.
Correct.
And I think that's the same way. And I'll tell you one thing, I was in Japan for 6 months training on the special burning surgeries I do in the brain called radio frequency ablation, which is a stereotactic and functional neurosurgery fellowship. I was at Tokyo Women's Medical University in Tokyo, Japan. And I saw their attention to detail and their level of excellence. It is extraordinary.
Right.
Extraordinary is, having traveled to different countries, I saw a level in the Japanese, and for small things, not big things, every small thing. But I had a Indian friend who had settled in Japan. I connected there again, and he said, Sharan, you think of any problem in any field, Japanese would have solved it.
Absolutely.
However silly it is, however
Right.
silly it is. And it was so true. When I would meet Japanese there and I would tell them I'm from India, they would tell me two things. Number one, Indians very intelligent. They would say this. Secondly, zero. We gave zero to the world. This is the only place. First time when he said zero with limited English, I was wondering, what is the zero he's talking? Then somebody translated, said, we Indians give zero to the world. And they acknowledged that.
Right.
That's when I realized that we are a great race.
Right.
The reason we are not ruling the world is because of mediocrity.
Right.
We are tolerating mediocrity.
Absolutely.
And secondly, this chalta hai attitude and poor work ethics. I think, Major General Saab, if we can change these 2-3, we will rule the world. And I can hear it clearly from you. And that comes from the point of regimentation.
Right.
And that's what you said very clearly. And in fact, the day I heard that word regimentation, I learned it from you. I spoke to our CEO and I said, we need to look at this very seriously, because we were talking about the company's code of honor and this and that, but we didn't get the right phrase to actually put it in place.
Right.
So for the sake of a global audience, can you really tell us, regimentation sounds like a very, strict word or a authoritative, word, rather than in this democracy and freedom. Please educate our people on this.
Right. See, regimentation primarily was a British word, during the First World War. The British lost the flower of their youth. The casualties are extremely high because, the First World War was fought by two armies in trenches. So it was that predictable that at the blow of a whistle, one lot would get up, clamber over their trenches, go across no man's land, and attack the other ones who are
coming on the trenches,
inside the trenches. So, and then
they were sitting ducks.
They would be beaten back, and many of them would die on the battlefield. Some would be wounded, rest would straggle back. So, and then the other side would do the same thing. So it was foolishness. But so the casualties were extremely high. But the reason why regimentation gets talked about there is, at that time, what the British had to do is they had to get people from all corners of the country. Right? It could be from a town, it could be from a rural area, from a village. They do not have the same operating principles. Right? They come from different backgrounds, different upbringing. They had to bring them all together.
One common minimum platform.
So that tomorrow when the whistle blows, that everybody gets up and everybody attacks. And so for that, you have to have a common operating platform. So your codes have to be the same. So if my code is that I should not, hypothetically, that I should not cheat, I should not lie, I should stand for what is right, everybody has to do that. So there has to be an immersive process.
Correct.
The cultural environment, the operating environment should put a young entrant through an immersive process, which then orients him to follow that organizational ethos and ethics.
Got it.
That the army does well. We have regiments within, let's take the example of infantry. You may have the Rajput regiment. I come from the Brigade of Guards, which is a separate regiment by itself. You have the Madras regiment. You could have the Dogra, but everybody follows a process of regimentation, wherein every new recruit, whether it be an officer, whether it be a Jawan, when he comes in, he's put through a system of life wherein he realizes this is the unit ethos, which is a subset of the army ethos, right? So the expectation is that he will do this when the time comes for him to deliver. Based on that, and when that expectation seeps into him, he does exactly
Gets
what
into the DNA.
Absolutely. It gets into his DNA. He gets hardwired.
Correct.
So once you get hardwired,
that means your job as a leader who is regimenting is to hardwire it into everybody's DNA.
That's right. That is absolutely right. So that is why I say a leadership role is extremely important in any organization.
Correct.
It could be a civil organization. Now, when people say, our employees are not following this, they're not following it because you didn't hardwire it into them. They need to create. Who creates environments? The leadership which creates environments.
Absolutely.
And how do environments get created? It is what you reward and what you punish.
Correct.
Right? If you reward a certain way of behavior, everybody follows that. That is how even the species develops. Whatever benefits you, that gets bolstered.
Correct.
Whatever is not benefiting becomes vestigial and gets, ultimately is lost.
Absolutely.
So unless you do that and you keep carrying out internal reviews as to what is it we are doing which is right and what is it we are doing, those practices which are not that great, and you keep winnowing it and weaning it away and getting the right one each time. So it's a dynamic process. When people think it is just one enclosure, we put them in and they come out like that, it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
So it is a very dynamic process. So now there is a negative connotation of regimentation. Is this so-called, we are developing robots. We are, they're making them automaton. They just respond to this, which is nonsense. We are talking about a discipline of habit.
Agreed.
If you would have a discipline of habit wherein you may be getting up at a certain time, following a certain routine, then devoting some time to maybe self-growth or professional growth, and then working for a certain number of hours, then coming back, devoting time to... That's a discipline of routine. You don't deviate from it. And it obviously has benefits, right?
I can give you a more real example from my world right now, just to give you a perspective. See, when we go into OT to operate, you have a clear plan. You leave your shoe here. Beyond this line, no shoe.
Absolutely.
Then you go in, you have to change to the scrubs. And beyond this line, no civil clothes. Beyond this line, only scrubs. And then when you go in, you have to put this sterilization stuff. And if I'm going to scrub up for the case, I need to remove everything. I need to roll up my sleeve. I need to scrub myself above my elbow. And then 3 times in a particular way. They even tell us how to go, between the fingers and all of those things to make sure there's no rubbish there.
Right.
And then I go in, there's a particular way I wipe it I don't touch anything else after that, So the sterility is maintained at every point. So you can't say, I don't go, you can't say all of that because, see, it is regimentation. Let's accept reality. Yeah. And worldwide, the same thing is done.
It eliminates risks.
Yeah. Right? That's what I'm saying. So you can't say that this is not regimentation. This is stupid. Some people, I think, just to not wanting to do it, I think you use all this freedom and all of this to, escape.
It is not counterproductive to freedom.
It's not. It is not. Exactly.
It is not the time you spend in something. It is what you produce out of that time.
Yes, yes.
And in this, like the same example you gave. Now, let's say a army patrol is going. It gets ambushed. One of the things which regimentation does in a tactical scenario is it builds reactive tactical drills.
Correct.
So if you come under fire, it is that you have to charge into the ambush. Now, if you ask a person, fire is coming from a certain point, will you charge into it? He'll not want to. But that is the safest way to get out of an ambush.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is,
Interesting.
because if you're
I
moving
mean, you actually go into the
it,
firing.
because you're reducing distance. Whereas if you're moving away from it, he's not the ambush party is not at risk, right? So they have time to pick and choose and
So
to
you are actually
eliminate
threatening him back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
counter.
now he's panicking, probably not responding as well as he would respond, and you're rapidly closing distance,
Got it.
right? And you are now coming on to it and beating that ambush. So
Interesting.
that has to be regimented into you because it's not a natural response.
Of course. Natural response is FFF.
Yeah.
Fear, fight, flight. You pack up and go. That's what it is.
So the same thing in rest, where otherwise if left to you, like you gave the procedure in an OT, you would want to take a shortcut. But if you have to, but a shortcut leads to risks coming in.
Yes.
So why should you take a shortcut?
Yes,
So you have to put through that entire
No, actually, it is worse. It becomes a long cut.
Yeah.
Because the moment you shortcut something, the complications happen.
Exactly.
And then what I would have done, then middle of the night, I'm called back, something else happened. 2 days later, I'm doing something else.
Yeah, it fails.
It fails because you have to do it the way it is.
Absolutely.
So I always tell my patients and everybody this. It takes the gynecologist 9 months to have a baby.
Right.
It takes an orthopedic surgeon 3 months for the fracture to heal. You can't make it any faster. The human body only takes so much of time. If you don't get the baby out in under 7 months, you have to have a paid incubator. This is a free incubator and the safest place to be. So you can't be in a hurry.
Oh, so in a artificial incubator, you can get a baby out faster.
No.
You
If
can't.
a baby prematurely comes out, then you have to keep an incubation because the baby is premature. And that is cost and the risk is so high. So you have to prevent this premature births from happening as much as possible. That's why they look at the minimum age of the baby before they allow this and all of those. So those things going on. So I see the regimentation you made so clear about the fact that you have to have that process going, and I can see it very clearly because we have to have it. Because if you don't do, then people do their own stuff.
Exactly.
And if the people do their own stuff, how does it going to work? No, it's not going to benefit
chaos.
anyone.
It leads
It's
to chaos.
chaos.
And second is most organizations, which know what they are doing, it is through a set of activities. People don't understand why you're being put through those activities. Through a set of activities, like in most military units, you're put through a set of activities.
Can you give an example or just give it so that, if people want to structure them, just as a place to think?
Yeah, say, for example, let's say your morning starts with a routine, right? It could be 5:30, 6, whatever. It starts with a physical routine.
Correct.
Then straight away, within a certain period of time, you are supposed to, change, take a bath, have your breakfast, come in, and then you are now distributed clearly into different tasks which you have to do for that particular day.
Okay.
So, and there is no slip-ups in it because slip-ups have consequences.
Correct.
So, and as part of their activity itself, they are seeing the functioning. Now, something has gone wrong, you don't hide it. You own up that this has gone wrong, we need to set it right. So it builds in the openness.
So this also army builds that into
exactly by the way of functioning, right? So
fantastic.
If an organization says, now
I think that's the toughest part
exactly.
Because everybody gets worried. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that.
Exactly,
they're trying to bury the whole.
So there are career consequences.
Yeah.
If an organization, let's say, misses out on tax return, I'm just an example, and let's say it says no, we need to hide this, right? So that becomes an ethical practice of this.
Correct.
It cannot be a one-off because now people know you have done that.
Correct.
So there will be other compromises which are taking place in other places.
And to hide one, you do another one, and then
so that becomes your company ethos then, right? So the ethos has to be built in even with the smallest activity. And there has to be a symbolic, disproportionate consequence for a wrong activity. Because how do you deter the wrong activity? To deter that, there is in strategic deterrence, there is a principle, when two nations are near equals, how do you prevent a nation from going to war? Let's take a hypothetical case. There are a nation A and a nation B. And nation A and nation B are nearly equal. And now and nation B provokes nation A every time. But you don't want it to escalate further. So for escalation control, it is called a deterrence strategy. The deterrence strategy is when nation B provokes in a small manner, a small action, you respond disproportionately so that it deters the next higher action.
I remember that's what our Defense Minister Rajnath Singh had told very clearly in one of the
Yeah. Oh,
things.
okay.
Yes, I remember that. That's when I learned how do you do the strategic
So-
deterrence.
So ideally, this should work. I mean, of course, there are certain irrational actors where sometimes it doesn't work,
Yeah,
but rationally, this should work. Similarly, in organizations, even if the default or the action is not very major, you need to respond at least symbolically in a manner which shows that it is a major one, because that will deter a higher
indiscipline, higher indiscipline.
issue.
So let me see if I understood you right. What you're trying to tell our viewers and me is that if somebody makes some mistake or some
Which is
slip
not
up,
in tune with your company
yeah,
ethos.
ethos,
Yeah,
but
organization.
technically it's not a very big
Big
thing.
one.
But if you don't give cognizance to chalo chota hai, things like this,
Right.
that will encourage them to continue to slip up and do
Absolutely.
bigger slip ups. But if you overreact to make sure you
Stop
fix
it
that
there.
place, then they will realize even if of a small thing I got such a big penalty or a whatever
Correct.
this one,
Which is viewed seriously. You know?
so that the next level is can be more impacting.
Absolutely.
Got
Absolutely.
it. I think that's a
The reason in that, as you said, is that when you, even if I overlook a small thing, you think that, okay, this is how we are. It is like standards, exactly what you said, mediocrity. If I accept, let's say you have house help, right? And I'm giving an example. And the house help says that, does a job in a very slipshod manner because they think you are never ever going to point it out.
Correct.
Then it only escalates and it spirals further downwards. Now, let's say you point it out and you say, this is not acceptable to me. Then they know that, no, it is not. This kind of work will not pass muster.
Got it.
I need to perform to that level.
And
Whether
I'm
it
being
be an
observed.
individual, it's being observed and it is being noted and it is being told to me, right? There is no shyness on my part to see. The problem in most leaders is, one is they are shy in ticking off people.
Correct. Looking good or
good
not
and
looking
popular,
bad. Yeah, not
and being
yes,
popular.
yes.
So popularity is not a thing.
Yes.
But of course, the other side is also bad, wherein you become so toxic that you are ticking off for the sake of. So balance is necessary in everything. So balance is necessary.
So I want to say two things here to add to what you said. I'll do the second part first, just what you said. See, I learned this from my sister. Okay.
Right.
So she's a elder sister to me. She lives in the US. She's an American citizen. So when she came for one of her visits to India with her daughter for the first time after the daughter was born, she was probably 3 years old or 2 years old, the daughter. And she threw one of her tantrums, the usual stuff. And I heard her sitting her down and telling her, Sanjana, I like you, but not this behavior. She clearly separated the two. And I'm telling you, that was one of the biggest lessons I learned.
Right.
Because if you see the baggage we carry, my father doesn't like me, my mother doesn't like me, because every time you said, you're like this, they think they don't like you. But she clearly distinguished the person with the habit, with the action.
That's right.
So then she understood, oh, mama likes this, but doesn't like this.
Correct.
And I think that's
behavior.
Yes, it modulates the behavior and make them clear that this is not a big deal to change.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a fantastic way of looking at how it goes.
And see, the problem, I think, and I see this because I go for to take certain classes and I'm speaking. I mean, the past few months I have been speaking to certain organizations also when they want me to speak to their employees. The thing in this thing is that making these changes in habits organizationally is a science.
Correct.
How to mold group behavior is a science. We need to train people for that. Our leaders need to be trained for that. Not everything can be anecdotal or by observation or by, they have to be trained into
So the problem is, I agree with you because I also run big organization and we actually got really challenged. We bloodied our nose. We had, mud on our face. And then the hard way, as you understand, because we were just crawling through this whole thing before we realized that we had to get a method in this whole madness.
Right.
And that's when we also took our own classes and our own guidance from experts and things like this. Because, see, what you said is this leadership is not taught in an organized way.
Absolutely.
The people who teach may not even have done it on the ground. Exactly. They just get some theory knowledge and things like this. But before we go down this path,
I have a single daughter. I had my daughter late in the sense that I was 43 or maybe 44 or 45 when my daughter was born. At that time, I already finished command of a unit and I was in a sensitive staff appointment. In a division, I was the Colonel General Staff that is in charge of operational planning. And as everybody knows in the military, when you are the Colonel General Staff in a division, it is one of the busiest appointments you can find in the Indian Army. You have to stay late nights, you go early mornings, there are plannings going on, operational plannings going on. At that time, my daughter was 8 months old or probably 9 months old. So, and my wife was alone at house. So you can't, you can understand the pressures which happen on, on your wife to
The
take care of
emotion and everything, yeah.
In that entire tenure of 2 years, I was back home. I would be in office at 8. I was back home by 2:30
AM.
No, 8 in the morning. I would go, AM, and I would back by 2:30 PM in the afternoon.
Afternoon, okay.
Right. But invariably, the routine was that you would stay on till about 7 at night, 8 at night. But the reason I did that was that I would take my work home.
I want to just shift a little bit of gear about you used to love sports, you say.
Yeah, that's true.
And, one of the few guys from India who's not crazy about cricket. That I thought was, very, very interesting.
My apologies.
Yeah.
But I just don't like
You're
cricket.
going to beat you up for this.
And I may be wrong because I just don't find it athletic enough.
It's not challenging enough. A lot of people say, especially test match is a lazy guy's game. People just when they're hanging around doing this stuff. And I agree with you. There's not. But anyway, I am a cricket buff.
But my apologies.
No, you don't have to apologize. So
which are the larger audience?
Yeah. Which are the games that or the sports people that inspired you and why?
Oh, that's a good question again, and that puts me in a spot for the simple reason, I love individual sports because to my mind, individual sports is the acme of, or a representation of pure excellence in its basic fundamental form.
Why do you say that?
I say that because let's say, you see the Olympics, let's say track and field. And you have a 5,000 meter runner or let's say, a 400 meter runner. It is pure will, preparation, training, and motivation. Correct. Right? You can't there is no external add-on in this. There is no equipment better. There is no opportunity better. It is pure, one human being versus other in their most basic elements.
Got it.
And anybody who performs well in that, it's obviously, it shows in every one of these parameters, they're scoring high. Right. So I love watching these Indians. I've been watching Olympics from a child onwards. I love watching these, especially track and field. I am an admirer of athletic performance which you cannot relate to. The reason now why I don't find is when I see cricket, I feel that, I can do that. I may be right or wrong, but I feel I can do that. It's not that difficult. But when I see, let's say, one of the Olympic athletes running, let's say the 5,000 meters, I know I can't do that.
Correct. Okay.
It is way beyond. There is no question I can do that. When I see Tour de France, I don't know whether you have seen these Netflix series of, Tour de France Unchained. There are 3 seasons.
No, I've not seen. But I've seen Tour de France somehow. But the original.
You should see especially season 1.
Okay.
I think it is that whole series, Netflix series is a lesson of life.
Really? It's called Tour de France.
Tour de France. It's a proper, what they have done. Tour de France happens every year.
I know that.
So this one, they have tracked the major teams and the major athletes throughout the 2021, 2022, 2023 Tour de France entire race.
Okay.
And they have made a series out of it. It puts the athlete under a microscope.
Whoa.
Their performance under, some of the facts which were, they cycle at average speeds of 60 miles per hour.
Whoa.
That means you go off the road, you die.
Yeah,
So the Tour de France, a team has, I think, 7 riders, but there is only one alpha male in that. That means the whole team is working to put one guy in the winner's position when the race ends.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, the whole team is working towards that. Why?
Ah.
When you're cycling, these things I didn't know. When you're cycling, 70% of your energy is spent overcoming wind resistance. 70%.
Oh, I see.
So if you're the front of the race, you are going to be exhausted before you're gone halfway.
Correct.
So the team protects their main rider, who's always riding 3 or 4 places behind.
Oh.
And they sacrifice themselves one by one and put this guy in a position that he can mount an assault at the end.
Interesting.
So the team is sacrificing itself for one individual's glory.
Amazing.
But it is a team's effort. So it teaches you teamwork. It teaches to subsume, each of these riders are superstars in their own right. But they are willing to forego their chances
For the
because they find that
larger game.
that guy is best suited to do this. So, and in fact, the effort required is huge in this. So I admire those games wherein the spirit comes through of effort, right? So, and athletic ability. So the games which I don't like too much is where I feel the ability is not that much. I may be wrong, fully wrong in that, but
we get
that is the perception I have.
You are particularly mentioned Carl Lewis and Michael Johnson as two guys who are really.
I mean, even now, I like this female hurdler, Femke Bull. I mean, I find her and the American equivalent, Sydney McLaurin, I think her name is. To watch them run, and they run for the pure passion of running. In fact, the Olympics, there was a mixed relay. Olympics nowadays has a 4 into 400 mixed relay. I didn't know. I don't know whether you're aware of that. No. That means two male runners and two female runners. And this Femke Bull is the last runner, and she was trailing by, I think, in the 7th position or something.
7th?
Yeah, 6th or something. She was trailing by about 60 meters or so.
Okay.
And she comes first.
Whoa!
It's a race for the ages to see that.
I should go back and see that.
You should see that. It's there in YouTube, you'll see it. So it's a triumph of human will. And when you see that happening in front of you, you can't help but admire. So those are things I like doing, and they are extreme motivations that you can do it if you put your mind to it.
But so is this your thing for athletics coming from that anecdote you said? You were running without good spikes and you did a good 400-meter chase. And
I mean, that is not my case itself. That is, I'm talking about 1983, I joined the National Defense Academy. 1987, I passed out of the Indian Military. So those ages, I mean, those days, nothing was there. You were running on dirt tracks. And so I used to run track. I used to run the 4, 8, and 1500 meters at that time. And 400, I used to win each time. So I still remember my last timing, that was in 86. I did it. How much do you practice? You are in a training academy. It's a military training academy. Athletics is not the... it's a competition. Yeah. It's a competition, and you train for 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum, and you run on dirt track. You run on spikes, which dig both ways into your soul and into this. So they are as bad. So I did 50 seconds. I remember, in both the semifinals and the finals, I ran in 50 seconds in those. So sometimes I feel that yes, if I'd prepared for, maybe it would have dropped the timing so much, but 50 seconds was a good timing even then. So yeah, it's something which I think, it is the spirit of competition comes out best in these kind of events.
The extension that you said was about international sports journalism.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also heard that thing in your voice and your glint in your eyes when you said that. So what about these international journalists that you like so much?
I mean, I must say this. I read ESPN inside out. I go online every day. I read it. SI.com. I read all the articles.
Really? Which one? Which is the other one?
SI. SportsIllustrated.com.
Oh, I'm okay.
I read everything. ESPN.com.
I see.
I find sports journalists capture human emotion better than anybody else because they are seeing it unfold in front of them. Right. They are seeing somebody being defeated, somebody winning. They are seeing somebody putting in effort in vain, and somebody may not be putting that much of effort but still coming out trying. They can capture emotions, whether it be a football match. By the way, I read even the Premier League write-ups, the British writers who write on the Premier League football league, which happens every year. They write beautifully and they capture the essence of emotion so well. It can serve as a motivation for you. I still remember one of the articles.
Maybe you're saying that as you read it, you can actually picturize
it, and your emotions come up.
Yeah, got it.
You get involved in it.
I can see that.
And you, especially when they highlight the adversities an athlete has gone through, and now he's delivering.
Maybe a surgery or something else.
You can. I still remember when I read an article, and that is the time I run every day. That as you age, the various aches and pains come up, and so a lot of times the thought comes to your mind: is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because everybody tells you, as you age, you need to slow down, you shouldn't run as much, and right from your own family to everybody around, this is just a recipe for disaster.
Correct.
So every time when I would get up, and I get up pretty early and then go. So every time I have to roll out of bed, I think, is it worth it? Everybody says it's just not worth it. Then, as luck would have it, that day I read an ESP, again, a sports journalist written, and he says, aches and pain. And he's talking about himself.
Okay.
He says, ache, and he's hardly, I think when he wrote, he was some 40 or something, and I'm much beyond that. So he's written, he says, aches and pains are a part of life. And he's written, he says, the day you succumb to that pain, you never start again. He says, you just have to go on. It just doesn't matter until you overcome it. You keep doing it. Whatever be the pain, whatever be the effort which is involved, it is all worth it. Because the day you succumb to that, you are never going to restart.
I agree.
So when I was posted in the US, that is one thing I really admired about that. I would see from my house a man he would be easily 75 or over 75.
In the US?
In the US. He was struggling to run, but he would never walk.
Oh, I
he
see.
would limp and run, whatever, but he would run. You had to admire that effort.
Correct.
You could make out that it is a struggle for him, but it just didn't stop him. I mean, anybody, it would be easy to walk it, but he wouldn't walk.
I'm relating two immediate stories from my own stuff. One was obviously Rishabh Pant. I don't know whether you heard
Yeah,
of
it was an accident.
I mean, if you see that car crash, it was like, my
escaped
goodness.
with his life.
I mean, like you said, something divine or some special energy or something. And to survive is big enough.
Right.
To go through whatever he went through and get out of that is like, to come back and do all that thing. Level. It's amazing what kind of grit, determination and everything else and whatever the energy have. The other person I saw was one guy called John Dent. He's a tennis player. And
during the Amritraj brothers' time?
No, he's much maybe maybe 5-6 years ago.
Oh, John Dent.
Yeah. Okay, and I saw him. I had not heard much about him, and I was just watching the US Open quarterfinals. And he was playing. I don't know who he was playing, but he was playing on the quarterfinals. And as the commentator was talking about it, he said this guy has undergone 3 knee fusion surgeries.
Right.
3 fusion surgeries. And he's playing on the damn turf court in US Open quarterfinals. They always say that surface is the worst for the knee.
That's right.
How much he must have practiced to be able to play the game at that level to come to I mean, can you imagine what grit and determination that guy had? The way you saw him moving, you can't even imagine that he had anything to do with his knee.
Same with Tiger Woods. I heard he had spine fusion surgery. I think multiple.
Yes.
So, and he still plays. And I think one of the times he won his last Masters with his knee, or one of the US Opens with his leg completely immobile.
Correct. So I think that's when the personal courage comes in very, very, very importantly. So going back to your regimentation and organization ethos, or the organization, whatever you said, the code that you were talking about, you mentioned a very key phrase that is very important for us to define, called the keystone habit.
Right.
So can you elaborate and help us understand what is this keystone habit and how does this keystone habit fit in the larger scheme of things? And what should people like us wanting to build successful, very nice organization where the environment of work is joyful rather than stressful? Can you guide us and, give us some wisdom on that?
Sure. See, like individuals have habits, organizations have routines, right? Okay. Routines in organizations are habits of individuals. So when you connect these routines, I mean, the single critical routine, a subcomponent of a routine or an action which an organization does, which has the potential to impact its total functioning, is a keystone habit.
Can you give an example?
So if you are, let's say, the army, I mean, I will give you an example of the military. We are all aware that especially the combat infantry, the critical requirement for a combat infantry is to be able to physically carry out an action. Correct. Right? To physically carry out an action, you have to be fit.
Correct.
So if you have to be fit, you have to be fit on a daily basis.
Correct.
So there is a routine which you have to do on a daily basis, which keeps your fitness to
At
its
that-
apex level,
Uh-huh.
right? So the activity which you do becomes a keystone habit,
Got it. Ah,
right?
what I
So-
mean, actually, I was struggling when you told me this. How do you find? And you gave a amazing answer. Amazing.
So now
Amazing.
let me relate it to how do you change an organizational habit.
Perfect.
So now if a physical activity, and let's take a hypothetical case wherein this military unit's physical activity is in the morning it does its physical, PT, physical training, and maybe in the evening it develops camaraderie and cohesion through team sports. So let's take the first habit. Let's say PT is the first activity which it's doing, which is a keystone habit. If you now impact this particular habit, you will be able to impact the functioning of the unit. How? Getting up in the morning, carrying out an activity will entail that he has to be going, earlier to bed. Obviously, that means his habit gets
So that he gets rested.
Rest in that. His diet has to be good enough that it is not affecting his
Correct.
body. His sleep has to be okay.
Correct.
His discipline has to be okay because he has to adhere to that activity on a consistent basis. So there are multiple intangibles which are getting associated with this.
Intangible. That's a key, very important word.
It's not a tangible.
Correct.
Which is not
I can
there
see
in
that.
the-
I can
it's
see
not
that.
a first order
I agree.
impact.
Understand.
It's a second order effect which is happening. So if you want to improve, let's say, discipline of a unit, you concentrate on its physical activity. I'm giving you as
From that
physical
context.
activity being
Yes,
a keystone
yes.
habit.
Yes.
Now I say that my standard for this unit is going to be 100% of you will pass these tests at this level. That will mean that they have to now put in that much effort, which could mean regulating the sleep, means practicing more, means improving their diet.
Whatever it means to, whatever
Exactly.
it takes to be there.
So now it has a lot of
Connected
effect on
stuff.
on their activities which are
Correct.
connected to this, but
Correct.
you're not actually targeting it.
Correct.
You're targeting this particular one.
Got it.
But the benefits are going to be seen at multiple
And you're
levels.
benchmarking it because you have got that endpoint that you are looking at.
But the benefits, as you said, as I said, is going to be on multiple areas. So you'll find that discipline will be better.
Correct.
Because it's getting into their routine,
and it'll spill over in another place.
That. The pride will be more. That same passion and the same standards which they're showing here, they will show it in some other task which they've been given to. So it is not to say that all these are a given. Some things will work, some things will not work. That is how life is. It's trial and error.
Yes, absolutely.
So what doesn't work, let it go. What works, increase its penetration, increase its span. So, but you should be able to understand what is working, what is not working. A lot of times leaders are blind to it. They don't understand what is working. They don't understand what is not working. Why? Because they don't take feedback. They are not on the ground, which you said earlier. They are not seeing with their own eyes. They are hearing through a second person's voice. So a lot of leaders...
That's the most dangerous thing, huh? Most dangerous thing. See, when I get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning and I hear somebody giving me a data of a patient, I am sleeping. I have woken up. You understand? And it's not that I'm woken up fresh. I'm just open my eyes and the phone is in my ear. At that level of whatever it is, I should know whether the data coming in is correct.
Yeah, it's accurate. Absolutely.
And if I hear a new voice, I'm asking, who are you?
Right.
Because I need to know who is this person giving me the data. If it's a person who doesn't understand, he's garbage in, garbage out at the end of the day. So others, I say, who else is on call?
Sure.
Give it to that person. Have you seen the patient? I have to cross question. Show me this, do me this. I have to do all of that. That means I have to be more awake than I would have been when I was awake to make sure I get the right data in. Absolutely. So unless I train myself to do this, I'm waking up in my sleep like this, I cannot be functional as a neurosurgeon.
Right.
I'll become a daytime neurosurgeon. I won't become a 24/7 neurosurgeon. So I can see very clearly where you're getting at, and that's a habit that you do. And
absolutely. That's the thing. So all those other activities. What now the acme or the measure of skill is, first, in an organizational routine, you have to identify that keystone habit.
Correct.
Right? It is
That's
not
the
the
biggest
same.
part.
Yeah. It's not the
Yeah.
same for
Can
every
you give
organization.
me another example in a civilian place or in any company, just for my
Right.
the thing of our
Okay, it is not my original example, but it is a place which I read it, which is a proven one. I only hope I have time to say that because it's a little
the time?
long-winded.
Yeah.
So, there used to be, where I picked this up is from a book wherein used to be a company, I believe, I don't know whether it's still there, Aluminium Company of America,
Okay.
which at its zenith in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, it had over 200,000, 300,000 employees globally.
Oh.
So I still remember they had, they got a CEO who was not from the aluminium industry, and he was a bureaucrat, but a bureaucrat with a track record of innovation, organizational change, a thinking CEO. They got him in. And in his first shareholder address, he says, my priority is, and the shareholders were all listening, we will grow profits by this, shareholder
Correct.
benefits, dividends, this is employee safety. Our accidents are 1 per week. I'm going to reduce it to 0. And 1 per week leads to so many man hours lost or man months lost. And we need to cut that down. And I want to bring it down to 0. So a lot of people withdrew their money from it, saying the CEO has no clue. They put a lot of pressure, but they didn't change that. Science and the beauty of this was when he addressed employee safety, this was a keystone habit which he had identified. It meant that the employees have to get more involved. Their practices on the shop floor had to be safe enough. When you want to make it safe enough, it becomes efficient.
Correct.
Right? It gets regular. Everything comes under scrutiny.
Correct.
And he also passed an instruction that if an accident occurs on the floor, I require to know about it along with your suggestions how this will never be repeated or it can never recur again within 2 hours.
2 hours?
In 2 hours.
Whoa.
Now, the reason why what this does is, now straight away, the manager of that facility or the factory is in communication with the shop floor individual.
Correct.
It really breaks open communication and flattens that network. Otherwise, it goes hierarchically.
Like this government office.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The guy on top
send me for triplicate and then do this through proper channel and all that nonsense. Yeah.
And now, for them to know that, he requires to take the views of the people who are affected.
Correct.
So he has to ask for suggestions. Correct. He has to ask for feedback. Correct. He has to put it through, the filter of whether this works and doesn't work.
Correct.
So he has to get far more involved. And that now improves company functioning. It improves efficiency. It reduces casualties. It empowers workers to give suggestions.
Excited at the same time, you couldn't, reject that or,
Absolutely,
react to it.
No, but more importantly was, as I said, because he had put in place the system forced one, as I said, the manager to be in touch with the person.
Correct.
To seek their views of the work floor employees as to what can be done about it. So it generated an enthusiasm of sharing feedbacks which are not related to an accident, right? So they
got unconnected feedback also.
Whoa. Like as I said, if somebody,
it's like a big bazaar plan, buy one take two free.
No, and they said why should the manager get the reserved parking? I'm coming to work at 7 o'clock. Whoever is coming first should get the parking. So they did away with reserved parking based on employee feedback. And I believe in Japan, this is much later that I read, in Japan, the parkings which are closest to the work facility are reserved for people who come the earliest.
No, who come late.
Oh, sorry, come late. Exactly.
The guy who come in early parks because the guy has to get in fast. Yeah.
So, but in this case, they said that if I'm coming in early, I should be getting the advantage of it. So they actually implemented it. So that is again a keystone habit which he changed. That is, safety became a keystone habit. And they reduced actually accidents to 0.
Okay.
But it had an attendant impact on profits. Profits skyrocketed because your efficiencies became so much more.
And the guys who exited must have,
I know.
hung themselves.
I believe the person who wrote this says that I was kicking myself after that. Why did I leave? So...
See, it's just amazing. It's just amazing how the collateral benefits are significant.
So it has to be thought through.
Amazing. Yeah, it has to be thought through.
The entire thing, there is something called, what is it? Foundational cause, and every problem, the same guy who was the CEO of the Aluminium Company of America, at some point, I believe he was the education, like our bureaucracy, he was in the bureaucracy and the education department. And they found, I'm not too sure, this was 1970s or so, they found premature births in US premature deaths. In fact, the infant mortality in 1970s America, as per what I had read in that book, was higher than sub-Saharan Africa.
Whoa.
It was that high. So they were extremely concerned by this. So when they carried out a check as to what is the reason, they found it was because the number of premature births were high. So why were the premature births high? They found teenage pregnancies were high. So when teenage pregnancies were high, they again went into the cause. This whole issue is called root cause theory. You have to identify the root cause.
Root cause analysis.
So when they found out if teen pregnancies are high, how do we prevent this premature birth? They said you have to improve nutrition. So if you have to improve nutrition, what do we do? So ask them to include nutrition in the classes they conduct for these teens, girls and students. So when they try to execute that, they found that the teacher said, we have no clue about nutrition. How can we teach them? So, where they put the money to reduce premature infant mortality deaths? They put the money in training teachers about nutrition.
Crazy.
So when they put the money to train
Seems
teachers,
so unconnected and far away from the...
And the results bore fruit. They reduced infant mortality by 70% within the next 2 or 3 years.
Good grief.
So there was a direct causal factor for this. But for you to reach that causal factor, you have to apply your mind. There has to be a logical thought process, which, a problem-solving approach which has to come in, wherein you go, critical thinking abilities have to come in, wherein it leads you to the root cause.
Root cause, fantastic.
This whole strategy, the word which is identification strategy.
Okay.
You have to identify what is the cause.
And really the cause. And you may think that you found the cause that may not be the actual cause, and you go...
Now the theory in this is that once...
How do you know you've hit the bottom?
So if you're not hit the right cause, you have to look at this. Now let's say you put money in training teachers and it doesn't impact the mortality rate. That means you haven't hit the root cause.
So you have to then
trial and error.
Prospectively look at what's going on and saying...
So that is why trial and error is so critical. In organizational change, you have to try. The more you try, the chances are you are going to reach the actual cause or the actual activity or the actual policy which is going to impact the organization.
And once you get it, then you hardwire it.
Scale up.
You hardwire it
and scale it up, across all facilities, across everywhere.
Got it.
So as I said, it's the entire thing is a scientific process.
Got it.
People have to be trained in it.
So now I have a follow-up question to this. So far so good. You taught us this. We are going to put it in place. We do the trial and error. We get our results. And then we put it in place. One of the common things I have seen is, now I empower a secondary leader, hand over to him and say, okay, now we have got all these things. Now you implement. And suddenly things go awry.
Right.
Somehow something is not working properly and things. So where is that coming from now? Why is that happening in organizations?
So in the military, there is...
Did I get my...
Absolutely. See, you have trained, you have empowered a subordinate. There are two things. One is it's a one-off occurrence. So then the leader has to have tolerance for that. You have to allow room for growth. Not everybody is going to get it right the very first time. So there has to be room for errors. You grow on the job. Now, if it's happening repeatedly, then there is a problem. Then obviously either the human resource which you have identified for this task and whom you have empowered and you have trained is not meeting the standards required.
Wrong choice.
Wrong choice. Possibly,
Like what we say, horses for courses.
Horses for courses. Absolutely. You require to have, and you have to give adequate opportunities. You have to be extremely objective in your assessment. Once you are clear that this is not working out, and it happens multiple times, you have to change project leaders. You have to change team leaders. Even in the military, you change unit commanders. You change appointments because they are unable to meet up to the expectations which the organization has from them. So there is nothing unusual about it. But in the initial stages, that is the thing. The dictum is you trust but verify. That means you have to handhold, not overtly, but subtly. So
but
verify. So
Trust.
I can trust you to do something, but I better verify that you're doing it well, because the biggest problem happens.
Is verification supervision?
Yes. But not overt supervision wherein you're eroding
you're not like keep sitting like that.
Exactly.
Got it.
But verify that it is getting done to the standards which you are expecting.
Okay.
It happens once, it happens twice, it happens thrice, then you are relatively confident it will happen again and it will be consistent.
And it'll get
It is
replicable.
sustainable. But so trust but verify is an important principle of leadership.
Fantastic. Now, the follow through on that is you made another statement when we were chatting, offline. And you said that, though a leader is able to, make, dramatic changes in organization, which like somebody like you could not then mass from one unit, you could not mass throw it across a larger group because every leader has a personality.
Correct.
Now, I will leave it to you to sort of give the wisdom. I don't want to sort of edit what you said.
Yeah, see, in organizations, ultimately we all have to know at what weight are we punching, right? If I'm in an appointment wherein I'm in charge and influencing 100 people, I can guarantee change in 100 people. Is this scalable? Is it replicable? Yes, it is scalable and replicable. But for that to be guaranteed, you have to put another 100 under me.
Correct.
Right? And I should have oversight and complete authority to get that done. But in most organizations, till the time you reach an apex position, that is not possible. And human emotions come into play. Human egos come into play. Human personalities and perceptions come into play. So while my system may work for me, somebody else may feel this is overrated. It is hyped because he's not experiencing it. It's a lateral position.
And who is he?
Who is he to? And they view it as probably undermining my
or
originality.
Or a threat
to that. So a lot of times, but the right-minded ones, if you ask me as an individual, if something is working somewhere else, I'll be too happy to replicate it.
Don't you think so? That's common sense, no?
Because it's worked there.
Exactly. I agree with you. I agree. I just try it out.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So,
I just try it out and see, because eventually, if you are, you have nothing to do with yourself but the larger group.
Right.
You are looking at better efficiency, better safety, better whatever. Then I think it is but natural for you to do it. And actually, it is natural. I mean, unnatural not to do it.
Exactly.
So I think that's the message we want to give the leadership when you have multiple leaders in the organization is don't let egos come in the way of the larger organization growth, because the organization ethos is bigger than your personal stuff. They always say, what is it? Country comes first. This one comes next. You come last at the end of the
every
day.
time.
Every time.
Chetwoodian motto.
Yeah, Oh, I didn't know that.
It's the Chetwoodian motto.
So I think that is. I think that's where we get that whole thing from.
And the thing is, these are best practices, right?
Best practices.
Now, the best practices should be adopted without hesitation.
I agree.
Try it out. If it doesn't work, you can adapt it, right?
Correct.
But you should adapt. I mean, you should replicate best practices.
Correct. I agree.
As a first response.
I think so. I think it makes sense, and that's what Major General Saab is telling all of you, that please use the best practices, because then you can get there faster, and that actually like you said cuts off, it makes you save time, energy,
efficiency is improved, and it's proven. Ultimately we are saying what works should be replicated. Absolutely. So it is proven to work.
Absolutely. So that comes automatically, naturally, to the next topic we want to talk about, is work-life balance.
Right.
Now you are clearly saying that laziness is to take a proven model, just put it in place, because somebody has done the heavy lifting to figure it out. The silliest and simplest thing you can do is to look at it, adapt it, adopt it, modify it, put it in place, and then do that, and it may be 1/5 the time, and then now you have got a better solution, and you still have released time for yourself and all the cribbing that is gone with the midnight meetings and all of that. But yet people don't do that, and yet they want a work-life balance. And now the flavor of the season is this work-life balance of one, generation of people saying you should work 70-hour weeks and 90-hour weeks. Other people say, no, 40 hours is too much, 38 hours, 37.5, maybe, 0.25. They may come down to seconds after some time. I'm not really sure what's happening. So, the L&T chairman made this statement, Narayan Murthy made this statement, and there's a lot of, back and forth happening in that. So somebody asked me this question: what do you think, Doc, and all these things? I said, I've been thinking myself that if you bring a patient on the weekend, should I operate on a Monday or should I do it immediately? And then I was thinking that I'm going to ask you the question as a, Major General, from the army. So if the Pakistani army comes in on a Saturday morning, will you tell him, hey, I'm off, I'm only 40-hour weeks, come back on Monday morning? Is the border protected only 9 to 5, 4 days a week? How does it work in the army?
Thankfully, this question is theoretical and hypothetical, because the army and, of course, the military and the uniformed forces don't have the luxury of a, regimented work hours of 8 hours, 9 hours, or 12
get that, guys.
hours.
It's a 24/7 by
Yeah, that's right.
365-day job to protect the borders.
Correct. So it's 24/7, 365, as you rightly said.
Yes. At the same level of intensity.
Yeah. So there is no change in it because the slightest drop can lead to compromises, which is unacceptable. Even the slightest
This is
compromise
important
unacceptable.
because there are some people who have gone to the extent of telling that, the L&T chairman made an additional statement saying that he's saying it from the context of nation building, because
Right.
we are in a building mode.
Right.
When you're building mode, you have to put more,
Absolutely.
more miles on the ground. And a couple of people have gone to the extent of saying, why I don't care about the nation. And can you imagine?
Yeah.
Here, guys, are a set of people who inherently, by signing on to get into the armed forces, have put their life on the line to protect a nation so people like us can sleep well and get what we want. And you are saying that the nation is not important? Think about it, guys. I want to hear it in the comment section. Is that really true? What happens if the nation is not there today? Wake up, guys. Smell the coffee. Don't act like, juvenile imbeciles. That's not what we want here. We want people to be responsible. You work 40 hours, we're okay. But don't expect 80 hours of salary. You produce. Don't look at hours. I always say in our famous dialogue I have, operation successful, patient died. We don't want that. You do what you want. Produce results for us. You can send a rocket to the moon in 5 days, be my guest.
Absolutely.
If you can build this, Mangalyaan sitting at home, work from home, no problem. Otherwise, limit yourself.
Absolutely.
Don't want to buy an expensive iPhone, an Audi car, and a luxurious
And
thing.
work only 10 hours.
It's not possible.
Yeah,
There are some things which are time-related process.
Yeah. No, but the point is very valid. Ultimately, everything is either task-related, it's project-related, it is outcome-related.
Yes,
right?
yes.
If the outcome is met by doing 30 hours, it's good enough.
Prove it to us.
If the outcome is met in 20 hours, is even better.
Yes,
If
yes.
the outcome is done instantaneously, you have all the time for yourself.
Yes. And if you automate it after some time, even better.
Yeah, even better. So the point is not that you have to fill in 40 hours or 90 hours or 100.
We don't want bodies sitting there. Yes.
The issue is, I read, I think in LinkedIn some time ago on the same, this is the flavor of the season now. There's a lot of discussion happening.
Yes.
So one lady said, in a private sector, she said that they had mandated so many hours. So people would, it's the banking sector, if I'm not wrong. They would while away time from 11 to 5 doing nothing. Then they would sit to work till 8 because they were told you have to sit till 8.
Oh,
you have to sit till 8. So now they had nothing to do. They would do nothing till 5. So ultimately that work output which they're looking at was only 4 hours or 5 hours or whatever, 6 hours or 8 hours. So they could have very well finished it. If the management, if it had laid down, this is your outcome. So ultimately, everything comes back to organization. Everything comes back to organization of work. If you have defined outcomes given, then how can anybody complain or say that I will work only this many or that many? This is what you are being employed in this organization for, is to give this outcome. You have to give this outcome on a weekly, daily, monthly, yearly basis as per the timelines laid down. That is going to decide how many hours you put in. And in fact, that lady says that very well. Though you may put in 8 hours, if I want career growth, when I go back home, I try to upskill myself. I read job-related things. I attend online courses which are job-related. But I don't include it in my 30 hours. I'm putting that much of effort to upskill myself. You are devoting time, which is
there are people who do this in the time they're given to do other things.
So
they think everything has to be done within that 8 hours.
Exactly. And in fact, today, I don't know whether you read the Times of India today, one of the articles on the center spread.
Mm-hmm.
There is an article on the quality of research papers in India.
No, I didn't.
Times
I missed that.
And it's excellent. In fact, it relates to the work-life balance, in a symbolic manner.
Oh.
So this writer, I forget his name, he's an academic, I forget his name. He's written that in India, the quality of research papers are extremely poor.
Agreed.
The reason why it's extremely poor is because universities and colleges have laid down a quota of number of research papers. So
Quantity.
So that is exactly, now you say that you will work 90 hours, and if you're not contributing anything in those 90 hours, then 90 hours counts for nothing. It's exactly as the number of papers which are being produced. You produce lesser number of papers of higher quality. That means the output is better. So similarly, maybe you're working 50 hours, but if your output is better, that 50 hours is enough. Right? You don't have to put in that, and you can devote the other 30 hours to upskilling yourself in your time, or looking after your family, or whatever other interests you have. So the point in this is, he says that it has now become a benchmark that we have to produce 100 papers. What is the quality? Even one worth publishing? Do we even see that? He says nobody sees that.
That's true, because there are so many national institutes in our field which says that per year you should have 3 publications, 4 publications. So some of them, you read them, it is abysmal.
Yeah,
there's nothing going on there in that whole place, and you wonder where is this going to be used.
Exactly.
And honestly, and if you go to some of their discussions, I tell them, you guys are doing intellectual masturbation. There's nothing useful coming out of that. Because we are on the ground,
That's
Major
right.
Saab. We have the ground, Major General Saab, the ground is crying.
Right.
Ground needs help. And somebody is sitting in an air-conditioned room on public money.
Right.
If it's their own money, I don't care.
Right.
On public money, I'm producing nothing.
Right.
Or very little to show.
Right.
Then it becomes very unfair to the whole process of what is happening. But they think they're doing a lot.
Great.
See, I was actually looking at this time that you said, efficiency. Right. So when I started operating as a neurosurgeon, as a junior neurosurgeon, I would take so much more time to do a surgery.
Right.
Because I'm still making
learning
sure.
On the job.
Yes. But as I start doing more of it, the confidence comes in and the efficiency comes in. But yet, there is an X amount of time it takes.
Right.
There are a lot of surgeons who pride themselves on doing things fast. And they think, 1 hour. I said, guys, the time is irrelevant. Do it well.
Right.
Please understand, there's only so much that you can do. And in a speed, you can't do more than, because then the mistakes become higher.
That's right.
So I tell them that. So there's always that optimal time beyond which, you cannot push it any further.
Absolutely.
And then you see what is happening. And I think it's very important for people to understand that work-life balance is not a fancy word to use. This 40-hour weeks is not a fancy word to use. What is your take on actually the amount of hours of work, in the sense to have this so-called work-life balance? See, you are also a human being. I'm also a human being. They're also human beings. Everybody deserves a work-life balance. Let's accept.
Absolutely.
Everybody, whether he is the the sweeper on the road or the CEO of a company or whatever it is. Absolutely. Forget the money, because there are 5 things I think every human being needs in life: health, happiness, peace of mind, love, and relationships. Right. And none of these 5 money can buy.
Right.
So by having more money in the bank doesn't mean anything. Absolutely. Beyond a certain level. So what is your take on that?
That's a good question. And I would like to give a personal take on this for the simple reason. Of course, as I said, we come from a background, or rather the military comes from a background wherein, all your time is not your time, actually. You're on call throughout. But let me give you an example. I think this whole issue of work-life balance can be sorted out in case we are organized in how we plan our time as an individual. The example which I wish to give is, I have a single daughter. I had my daughter late, in the sense that I was 43 or maybe 44 or 45 when my daughter was born. At that time, I already finished command of a unit, and I was in a sensitive staff appointment. In a division, I was the Colonel General Staff that is in charge of operational planning. And as everybody knows in the military, when you are the Colonel General Staff in a division, it is one of the busiest appointments you can find in the Indian Army. You have to stay late nights, you go early mornings, there are plannings going on, operational plannings going on. At that time, my daughter was 8 months old, or probably 9 months old. So, and my wife was alone at house. So you can't, you can understand the pressures which happen on, on your wife to
the
take
emotion
care of
and everything. Yeah.
In that entire tenure of 2 years, I was back home. I would be in office at 8. I was back home by 2:30
a.m.
No, 8 in the morning. I would go, a.m. and I would back by 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon.
Afternoon, okay.
Right. But invariably, the routine was that you would stay on till about 7 at night, 8 at night. But the reason I did that was that I would take my work home. Right. So now, And now, if my wife required a break, she would be out. My child would be pottering around there. I would be keeping an eye on her and in between playing. But I had my laptop. Let's say I had to make an operational presentation. I would plan well in advance. If that presentation was due 30 days later, when I would take my work home, I would make 2 slides a day. That way, I give it enough time. I give it enough thought. What is the
Amazing.
backdrop to it? So
Amazing.
I would calendar my time in a manner that every work objective which I had was tabulated in it, and I would start early enough.
And
That
also
way
you
I
had the
was-
time
I
to
had
take care of the
to the
babysitting.
child. My wife had the this. Now the balance is extremely critical, right? You should be able to plan it well in advance. Second, you have to have the competence to do it yourself.
Correct. Or seek help.
See, no, if you seek help, now you're bound to be in office, right? So my point in this is
God,
you
that's
can dictate
actually very
flexibility.
interesting what you said. Huh?
So the flexibility you get is on competence. If you have competence, you have flexibility in adjusting your time as per your requirement.
Very interesting.
And the second thing which I felt was important, which allowed me the flexibility in doing it, is you are not dependent on what you said, other people. The day you're dependent on other people, that is the time you have to be at a certain place to get inputs coming from other people. So the preparatory
So it
work
comes to competence, skill, and everything else.
So that can decide the ability for you to juggle time in a manner which is to your liking.
And manage the work-life balance.
So when I finished 2 years, the best compliment given to me by my boss was, he was the general officer commanding. He says, you have never come back to office after 2:30 and your work is top class. How do you manage it?
Fantastic. What a question.
So that is one thing, I took that as the best compliment I could
Of
get,
course.
So I managed both responsive so-called life. So, and I would take my, in fact, as a lighter vein, there was a park in that cantonment. So after I would make 2 slides, I would take my daughter and go to that park. So you would find, a lot of officers from various units going to work in the evening. So, and their wives would be walking. So they would come back and say, what appointment is he in that he gets time to take his daughter to the park and you're going to office? You have to get his
become a
appointment.
dangerous situation. I can imagine. So you become a risky thing for others.
So that is the thing. The point is that you need to have a certain skill set for you to do that. And it doesn't matter if you don't have it initially, you grow the skill set.
Correct.
Right? The day you're able to grow it, you're able to balance it out rightly also.
You never compromise on the organization.
You can't compromise
and
on
your responsibility. I think that is key.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to give up one for the other. You can make both happen equally efficiently.
And now, see, at some points you'll have to come. I'm not saying that never do. Yes, there are odd. I'm talking about those 2 years. There would be odd days and all when I had to go in the.
Of course.
But I'm not. That is nothing. That
Even
is acceptable.
Even 50%, 60% of time you get there, I think it's
adequate.
Of course.
So that is the point. So be flexible enough to compromise what is an inescapable requirement. It's an inescapable requirement. It is for organization good. You should do it. Where you have the latitude to balance it, you balance it. So don't be fixated on a specific figure, right? You have to adapt to it.
I think so. And I think depends on also what level you want to play the game.
Exactly.
Based on that, you decide what you want to. You can't go to the moon on a cycle at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
In fact, relating to what you said about your daughter, when my daughter was born in 1995, I was in the peak of my neurosurgery training residency.
Right.
And I was doing 140-hour weeks. And how my day was, I used to get into hospital Monday morning, 7 o'clock. I used to come back Tuesday night, 8:30.
Right.
Wednesday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Monday night.
Right.
36 hours alternate day calls for 4.5 years.
Right.
I literally saw my daughter grow horizontally.
Yeah, because she'd be sleeping both times,
Literally,
Yeah.
And I would only hear from my wife that, he did like this, she did like this, she made this word, she did this, she did that. And at that time, this was pre-mobile phone era.
Right.
So there's not even capturing a video to see would have been one hell of an effort to do. But, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So then somewhere I had to make a compromise. In 1999, when I was in my final year neurosurgery, just before my exams, I asked myself a question: what's my future as a neurosurgeon?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started looking around, and one of the peer-reviewed journals released an article, divorce rates among doctors.
Yeah.
And number one is neurosurgeons.
Yeah.
And my wife had been so upset with me because she hardly would see me.
Yeah.
My mother used to say, "You're using this house as boarding lodging. What is going on here? I'll put a room number on your door. You're just coming and dumping old clothes and taking new clothes and going," and
Right.
things like that. But that's how ruthless the training was.
Right.
But unless your training is ruthless, Major General Saab, you will not have
Yeah,
a
the
great career.
foundation has to be-
Yeah, you have to be like, you can't be so casual going around and then expect excellence to happen.
Yeah, but now, yeah, exactly. Now, this point I would like to tell you. In my case, it was different. So the example I gave you probably is a wrong example.
Okay.
Because I was relatively in the middle seniority of the Indian Army.
Oh, because you were a little
Because
later.
I married late
later.
and I got a child late. Now, suppose I had been a young officer, probably I would not
You'd
have
have
got
been,
this, opportunity to.
You'd have been
adapt
like
my
me.
time.
You'd have
Exactly.
been like
I
me,
would have
seeing
been
it
like you.
horizontally.
I would have been
Or the
exactly
child would be
like you.
somewhere, you will be somewhere in the border
So
post.
yeah, so this is one misconception. I mean, my example may be the wrong one because I was at a
But fair
different
enough.
stage. In
But doesn't matter. But you did still
Yeah.
found to have both, how to make both
Exactly.
things happen.
Now, this is one message I want to give to your audience: is they should marry late and have a child late. This is a message I want to give. I'll give you the. I mean, I am now because I'm, I've gone through this. The reasons are multiple. Let me give you the main ones. One, you are established in your career. You know your job well enough, and you can manage and juggle your time to get that, specific work-life balance you're looking at. The flavor of the season and the topic under discussion. You marry late and you are able to have a child late. You have a child late. You'll be able to have the right work-life balance because you are in the stage of life. Second, you are in that stage of life, as you said, I know where I'm heading, right? I know what my priorities are. So in my job, work and life, if in my priorities, life is more priority, I devote more time to life. If work is a greater priority at this stage of my life, I devote more time there because I know the consequences well enough. And lastly, which I think is the most important, is your maturity is so much more in dealing with a child who's young. You have so much of time to, allow her to or him to grow that you are a far better parent, right? And the interaction with the child keeps you young. So it is win-win from all directions. From all sides, it is win-win. You should have a child late. You should marry late. Especially so because lifespans are increasing, year by year. So I think that is one thing people should do.
I'm going to give you a pushback here. I'm going to say exactly the opposite.
Okay.
Me and my wife, we were medical college classmates. We were, childhood sweethearts. And we went around from from our age of 18 years. And we got married when we were 25, 26. People look at us and say, you have such old children? I said, yeah, we had child marriage. I was joking.
Yeah.
So we had both our children before our age of 30.
Right.
And interestingly, my wife is 9 months older than me.
Right.
It's like that. So, and then in fact, even before we got married, I asked her, she was also a doctor. She's also a doctor. So I asked her a very critical question. I said, do you want to be a full-time doctor? And she said, why? I said, see, if you want to be a full-time doctor from day one, let's not have children.
Right.
Because let's not put the children on the grandparents.
Right.
It's not neither of our parents' job to take care of our children.
Correct.
If we can't parent our children, let's not have children. She was very different. She said, if you give me a chance, I want to take a break and have the children. And she slowed down.
Right.
And then we had the children. She spent the time with the children. She did certain, things on the side just to keep her knife sharp on as far as this is concerned. And then as the children started growing, we lived in a joint family. Right. I was very clear about that I wanted to stay with my parents, take care of them. So we were 4 generations living at home.
Right.
Okay, including my grandmother who died, when she was 93. So all upstairs, very strong, 7 individuals at home, 7 points of view. You know how it works at the end of the day. No 2 points of view are the same and everything else going on. But it was a great place to be.
Right.
And once the children started growing, she's started slowly, changing the gear. And today, we are in a place where, they are on their own and we can do what we want.
Right.
So, guys, there are 2 perspectives to it. Major General Saab has a perspective, neurosurgeon has a perspective. You choose what you want. The bottom line is you have to find a plan that works for you.
I will help you and get that. If you have family support, if you have that kind of support, in terms of, joint family, somebody,
Correct.
then the choice becomes easier.
I
but
agree.
If you're going to be alone, then I think my
so you have a plan A, you have a plan B, you choose what you want to take.
Absolutely.
And absolutely, I think.
One last example I'll give you. Once my central AC had packed up. So I spoke to the person I was renting from, it's packed up. So he said, don't worry, I'll send somebody. My friend is there. He runs a HVAC company. I'll send him. So this man who came to my house at 11 at night was about 65 years old, right? He runs his own company. He comes in and he looks down and says, okay, there is an issue with this part. I will change it. Then when he opens that unit, he says, I think this requires a deep cleaning and servicing. It's at 11 at night, imagine. He says, you go to sleep, I'll finish it and I'll push off. I said, no, I would like to see what you're doing. For next 2.5 hours, he talked to me through every action he was taking. See the passion he had and the interest and pride he had in his ability to do that. A 65-year-old man.
At 11 o'clock at the night.
At 11 o'clock at night. He finally finished at about 2:30. But he had gone through and he was, as energetic as ever. He says, there, now it is fit and it is good enough to go for a number of more years. And that is it. That is the kind of pride and ownership if we get in our own functions and, then our standards automatically go up.
I think so. Coming to a more serious topic, you had shared with me about one of your CEOs who fell in a gorge and broke his back.
Right.
I want to tell our viewers about what happened and what went through your mind at that time.
Yeah, so, what I had shared was, we were deployed on the line of control, and it was a commander, one of my brigadier rank officer, and I was, on his the operational staff. At that time we used
This
to
again in Kashmir.
Absolutely, in fact, ahead of Kupwara, north of Kupwara. And we call a brigade major now. I think they call them because they have upgraded ranks, general staff officer grade 1. At that time we used to call this appointment a brigade major. So I was a major there, head of operations of that brigade. And as I told you earlier, the Indian posts and the enemy posts are shouting distance. 20 meters, some places less than that also.
20, yeah?
Yeah, 20, 25 meters, that's it. Because it's a hypothetical line which is going
crazy. Even now it must be the same, I suppose.
Yeah, nothing has changed in that. That's the same. And these are on spur lines, on mountain tops and various, terrain, which is difficult terrain. And this was winters and it snows heavily there. And the paths which go on this spur lines are extremely narrow paths.
Like goat paths.
They are goat paths and they are slippery. Once it snows, it becomes slippery also. So this was at night time and the commander was going to visit one of our posts, which was, about 20 meters away from the enemy post. And generally what happens is, because it was a moonless night, and generally you select moonless lights because visibility is lesser, so your movement goes undetected. Somebody must have flashed a torch just to see, I hope we are aligned right. So the enemy post must have seen that flash and go off. So they fired in anticipation. Nowhere were they targeting anybody. They just fired out of, as a deterrence. Exactly. But when they fire, the human tendency is you rush towards cover. I mean, wherever, you may be walking, but you rush forward to try and take cover. So when he rushed forward, he slipped and fell. And he fell over 100 meters.
Whoa, 100 meters?
Yeah, down. Correction, 100 feet. 100 feet down. So 30 to 40 meters, I would say. But it was extremely steep, over 80 degrees. And
rugged, probably.
Rugged. And he broke his back. And then it was a real task to evacuate. At that time, they knew something is happening. So intermittent firing was going on. So finally, he was evacuated. Took a number of hours and moved. But
you had to literally carry him out of that.
Him out physically. So, but his spine got transacted in that, and his mobility got permanently affected. Loss of limb movements.
So he's in a wheelchair now.
Yeah, he's on a wheelchair now, but extremely positive man, I must say. He's so enthusiastic. When you meet him,
You'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he radiates.
Love to meet him.
So next time he's in Bangalore, I will let you know.
For sure, I would love
because
to meet
he comes. His son is working here, so he comes periodically to visit him.
Perfect.
But a gentleman, an old school gentleman, he radiates positivity throughout. But sometimes, we always thought that he would regain, because at that time people were saying that, developments in your specialty, neuroscience is happening, use of implants, those will improve mobility and your capabilities, but it never happened. I think it was cleanly transacted.
No, I always tell even now, even you should not wish a spinal cord injury to happen to your worst enemy. It's unforgiving. Right. It is really unforgiving. It's really, you cannot tell how bad it is. It's really one of the worst things to happen in neuroscience.
So
And nothing you
that
can
is
do. The entire spinal cord is as big as a little finger.
right.
All the nerves are going inside this small cable. It's just crazy. Very sad. So you've had a lot of tough time. I mean, that's why battle hardened is what we call at the end
Yeah,
of
it
the
gives
day.
you
Yeah.
it gives you a perspective.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, it
And
gives you
life is real.
real.
Life, yeah.
And it's tenuous. You know, things
Yes.
can change overnight.
Yes. And no, overnight. It's
and
like
yeah,
a next minute,
minute,
you know, the
things-
whole
you know,
the
your
scene
career
is
is
different.
like he was doing outstandingly well. So his career was, I mean, is going to go just upwards,
Yeah.
and then it changes by just that instant.
Correct.
So then you realize, you know, nothing can be taken
One
for
flashlight,
granted.
you know, or one fire or whatever you call it at the end of the
Absolutely.
day.
So
All
that
that
is-
it takes.
Yeah. No, that is why you need to tell this audience. You know, I see on Bangalore roads, half of them not wearing helmets, you know, speeding. I mean, it's ridiculous. You are putting your
Ridiculous.
life at risk for nothing.
Nothing.
Forget risk. Now, suppose you survive, you could well land up in that kind of a situation, you know. It is
They
such
just
taking
don't
such
get it.
foolish risk
Foolish.
for what?
There's no wisdom here. You know, I don't know where at what level are they working. In fact, I have a very when people work without thinking, you know, we always say, you know, as a neurosurgeon, I say don't work at the spinal cord level. You know,
Right.
the reflex. You know, you think,
Correct. Yeah, it's
think
a
and work.
reptilian mode. Huh?
So you understand that, no?
Yeah.
So I was telling this to one of my other neurosurgeon friends of mine from Nimhans. The end of the spinal cord is called cauda equina.
Right.
Where it becomes a set of
Right.
nerves that goes like a cauda equina is a horse's tail.
Right.
So I tell my guys, don't work at the cauda equina level. And he said, no, Sharan, cauda equina is not the lowest. There's one thing lower down called the pudendal nerve, which supplies the urinary bladder and this. So people are working at that level. So, you know, a lot of people are just going around with their life, not even knowing what's happening. No effort, but maximum results. You know, everybody wants to be, you know, the
Bill
next
Gates
Bill Gates, the next Elon Musk. You know,
in
maybe
terms
Elon
of,
Musk.
in terms of financial wealth.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wealth, recognition. You know.
But, you know, now that you're raised away, you know, Musk, I must say this, you know, when you read about his hands-on expertise on
he
it,
sleeps
it's
on the
amazing.
shop floor.
Right. And he gives them engineering solutions.
Correct, yes.
You know, in this, and these are all high-tech technology companies. He gives them engineering solutions.
And 3-4 companies he's running, yeah?
Exactly.
I didn't even know till recently. There's a company called the Boring
Works.
I
Works,
didn't
which
even know
makes
that
deep
it was,
tunnels. Yeah, tunneling.
And what happened? Apparently, it seemed that he got stuck in a traffic jam. He said, "To hell with this! I'll make tunnels," and he made that. I mean, amazing guy.
This is what I read in this Boring Works. One of the employees says that whenever they have engineering problems, because these are huge machines which are going under the earth. So he always comes and attends the brainstorming, and he comes up with unique solutions which are workable.
Interesting.
So he has the capability to do that. You know, if we grow that capability and desire, it's a good thing.
Correct.
But a lot of times, as you said, they want minimum effort and maximum result.
Yes.
It
No.
never works like that.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't
See,
work.
guys, it doesn't work. You know, you have to be practical. You have to be pragmatic. You have to have common sense. You have to be practical. You know, you have to understand what's going on. And I think that's the only way to take it forward. And
effort is important.
Yes. And one of the things you said very early in this one about, you know, anecdotal data that comes in, anecdotal experience or information that you said comes down to data.
Right.
And I know that your new assignment, you've taken some work on data and AI.
Right.
So you have seen data at different times in the armed forces, and you have tried your own way to build the leadership, the science of organization building. You have shared your wisdom. If you have something more to share, I would definitely want to hear that from you.
Right.
You want to share about the science of organization building first? Anything more before you want data? Or you want to talk about the data and AI right now?
Yeah, no, the organization building is, it's a simple thing. There are three things in organization changes, not building. Building, of course, everybody will build as long as you have the right guardrails in place, developing the habits from initiation stage. Now, the problem is when you enter an organization as its leader and its routine and habits are set, and it is not as per what you would ideally expect the routine and habits. Now you have to change it. That is a more difficult task.
Correct.
Right? If you are initially establishing it, you can always establish it new in the footprint you want it to be.
Correct.
So for that, the aspect in this is experimentation. That is extremely important. The science of organizational change is experimentation. You have to have multiple ideas. You have no idea which one is going to work, which one is going to change the culture or it's going to change the practices. That has to happen through experimentation. Which experiment is working and leading to the results is identification. So you should be able to identify which
Got
is
it.
the one which is going to,
Got it.
which is doing it. Now, for that, you require feedback coming in, which is objective, because
Correct.
people are going to tell you what you want to hear.
Correct.
If you're the head of
Sometimes
an
what you
organization,
don't want to hear also.
whatever you want to hear, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know, I can well understand the problems the prime minister or heads of big institutions will be having, because they are surrounded by a circle of people who are telling them what they want to hear. Till you break it,
Yeah.
and you're able to reach down to objective
Correct.
viewpoints and feedbacks
I
coming
agree.
back. You
The
coming
truth.
back to your truth.
The truth.
Exactly. Unvarnished truth.
Yes.
You are never going to know what is actually working or what is actually happening. Now, in this identification, one thing is extremely important. That is survivability. That is, when you experiment, you can't experiment with the full organization. Let's say that experiment fails, the organization
You
collapses.
crash. Correct.
So your experimentation has to be at that scale that its failure is survivable. That means a microcosm of the organization. You have to test it.
Got it.
The experimentation has to happen in a small subset.
Which represents the company, a small version of the company.
And try whether it's working there. Because if it fails, it fails.
Correct.
You revert
But
back
it doesn't
to
impact the larger
rest
work.
of the organization.
Got it.
Once that survivability and feedback is established and you know what succeeds, then is scalability. Now you proliferate it across the organization and give it your entire support to ensure that it succeeds. Because now you're sure what works.
Yes.
Right? So that is the nuts and bolts of organizational change, and it functions in that manner. But data, I'm a fan of data for the simple reason that in the army, the decision making is anecdotal, right?
Everywhere, even in our medicine, a lot of it is anecdotal.
So I follow what I've seen. I apply my mind. Okay, in my circumstances, I'll have to change it like this. But to my mind, I think there has to be a balance of intuitive decision making, which intuition comes with experience. How can you have intuition if you've not been through that situation before?
Absolutely.
It can't come out of a dream.
Correct.
The intuition comes in because you've been through a situation which is like that or similar to that. So it's intuitive, data-driven or empirical decision making. So data-driven decision making has to give you support to the decision, has to give the support to the decision you take. For example, if I give you in army parlance, if let's say X number, let's say 1,000 troops are committed in 1,000 square meters or kilometers of an area, and it is terrorist infested. There are a lot of terrorists there. So I find that I need to increase the density of people. So I make it 3,000. How do I know whether this is working or not in my overall aim of eliminating terrorism from that area? So one way of doing that is that we are eliminating terrorists. There should be good enough, more number of people, the better it is, because that is the conventional wisdom which says it. The other way of looking at it is, when I had 1,000 people, in a year I killed or eliminated 100 terrorists. I have now 3,000 people. I have eliminated 120 terrorists. It hasn't made a marginal difference. With the threefold increase in troops,
only 20,
you haven't really increased. That means either your initial data is wrong, that the density of inimical presence there is lesser, or your probably placement of people is not right.
Or the people are not right.
Yeah. No, the people will be. I mean, we take that as a constant.
You take a constant.
I take that as a constant.
So that's the important thing. You are clear that
right?
Got it.
Now I try again by redeploying them into maybe the initial assessment of area where there is the initial density of terrorists were there is different. Now I move them separately. Now I check again after 6 months. If there is a wide variance in data, maybe I'm right. Now there is no change in data, then putting more troops has no meaning. So now the decision I have to take is pull them out, because it is now data-driven.
Correct. And how many to pull out?
It is based on some facts. Correct. It is not based on a feeling. True. It is not based on somebody's perception. Correct. So that is my point when I say that
data-driven decision
making has to be has to be taught through. Is my view on this, because it doesn't come naturally to us.
Agreed. Very true. And Because it's very close to your heart, you joined this AI company. You were
Yeah,
saying.
it's a good company. So let me advertise them in this
Yes,
Neuralix.
why not? Why not? Why
He's
not?
a Bangalore boy. I mean, the CEO is a Bangalore-based
What's the
individual.
name? What's the name?
Vikram Jairam.
Okay.
So he's US-based. He started his company. See, this is a fascinating company. He's done his PhD abroad in AI and all that.
He's US based or he's India Bangalore based?
No, he's US-based.
Okay.
Of course, Bangalore. Studied in Belgaum, if I'm not wrong,
Okay.
engineering college. And then we did his master's in the US and continued working there. Now he's over 40. He's working for some time there. And both his wife is also from Bangalore, and both of them are in engineers. Both of them working there. He was working with ExxonMobil, right, the oil company.
Correct.
Then he quit that, and now he established this Neuralix.ai there, and they have an India branch in Bangalore.
Okay.
Right. So, but his the mother company is in US,
Okay.
which he is the CEO of. So they, their main competency is multiple sensor fusion, or data coming from multiple sensors, to fuse it, to interpret it, make sense of it, and then predict outcomes. Right.
Interesting.
So, especially in the oil industry, he gave me a book. It's amazing. It's called The New Path.
He's authored the book?
No. He presented it to me.
Okay.
It's by an American author, but it's an outstanding book. It gives you, I had no idea.
The New Path.
The New Path. It shows you as to how the changes in energy dependency is shaping strategic alignments globally. And
energy means the gas, petrol, and
shale oil.
Shale.
Mainly shale oil,
Okay.
Shale oil and shale gas has changed the entire dynamic of global alignments.
Interesting.
So, in fact, the Russia-Ukraine war and so many other conflicts, the reduction of the importance of the Middle East from an energy perspective, all that is born out of the US becoming energy independent. Primarily because of shale oil revolution which has happened. And his work, a lot of this AI is on, because shale oil is a complex process. It's not an easy process. And
it was quite expensive also. Now they have made it cheaper
because the technologies to it. But even now there is a break-even price. Even now it happens. But it has a lot of impact, attendant impact. A lot of states in the US itself have banned it. So, for multiple reasons. But whatever said and done, it has given them independence in energy, which has dictated that thought process in geostrategic alignments and partnerships and foreign policy. So it's a fascinating book. So he's in he does a lot of AI work there. But here in India, we are into both AI in organizations as also manufacturing. Right? Every process can be made more efficient if the data is interpreted rightly.
Correct.
So first you need to have sensors which measure data which gets fed into a processing unit, and a processing unit which can make sense of it and throw out conclusions and deductions out of that. So it's a great field, and I think nothing to make you, if this is today's domain, it is good to be involved in today's
everybody's
technology.
talking AI right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. And
So
starting with the Prime Minister, everybody's talking about it. So I think
I think it's a great tool. And I think India has actually, when I look at the digitization which has happened, who would have thought you have direct beneficiary, transfers happening into your account?
UPI is
UPIs,
amazing.
You can pay anywhere with carrying no money with you, with your phone, just with your phone.
Yeah. Amazing.
So I don't think
any amount of money, even 1 rupee you can
pay. So
to the extent that the beggars who have UPI QR codes,
when you say I'm not carrying change, it shows you.
Yeah. I remember that guy who comes with that bullock home, that bullock had the QR code.
Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
But I don't think any other country has it like
that.
No,
nobody. Right? The innovation is so India specific. It's just
but it has really made ease of payment so much more easy.
And it's democratized payment. Because it's not that only the big shops have this one, plastic money. Yes, everybody has the same QR code, the same thing. That's what is democratizing all about,
Absolutely.
Then it becomes affordable to people, and then the equitable wealth distribution happens. Then everybody has a piece of the pie. And to the extent that recently there was a Pani Puri fellow who got a notice from the GST and the government of India because he had got 40 lakhs into his account through UPI. Pani Puri fellow. I said, what's going on, buddy? You got 40 lakhs. You better pay
and
some
you're paying
tax.
zero tax.
Yeah, you better pay some tax.
But that's
on
a
it.
good thing. So everybody
Yeah,
becomes on board and
yes,
contributing.
you are mainstreaming the
Yeah,
economy,
absolutely.
and you're getting all the stuff out. It's crazy, but that's the way it is. So I think as we had a great chat, let me be honest about it. I think lovely.
Pleasure's all mine, really.
Yeah. So as we wind down, is there any last messages that you want to give the audience, the global viewers from your side? Anything to do with personal? There's anything that you want to say?
The point is, we are not developing students with a critical thinking ability, right? And of course, the NEP now means plans to foster this by changing of the methodologies and the curriculum. It is not an easy thing to do, right? It is because the problem which we have been facing and the institutions we have been running is you ultimately have to train the trainer, right? The teachers have to get trained the right way, that they're able to impart the right way. Now, if you say, even today, when everybody is talking about critical thinking, everybody is talking about your ability to be creative, problem solving abilities and all that. Even now, if you tell in a classroom, even in one of the leading schools, no, this is the way it is done, you can't do it that way because I don't know how that is done. Right? You can't. I mean, that response is not of today. It is, in fact, it was not of yesterday also. Yeah. But those responses are common. So the teachers need to be skilled. And this is one thing which, people have to put in. Yes, you need to incentivize it more because they are critical. If you have a demographic dividend today, the demographic dividend is only going to bear fruit if the demography is skilled.
Correct.
If the demography is not skilled, it's not going to bear fruit.
It's just bodies there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is going to create more harm
than good.
Yes,
agreed.
So for that, then the teacher's job is critical. So you have to incentivize it. But to ensure that the teacher is delivering the right way, we have to revamp probably teacher training institutes.
I think we have to reboot the whole system.
It's absolutely.
And I think we didn't touch upon this. We should go and touch upon this. You said two things at that time when we spoke about education. One is the Japanese way of training their children.
Right.
And the second one is your posting as a defense attaché in the US. I think we should talk about this for sure. So first about the Japanese, you said something very critical, and I love Japanese way of doing. I spent 6 months there. I'm a fida of their way they do it. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that I found even in the US. See, my daughter was in primary when I was a defense attaché in the US, so I saw their public school system at close quarters. The Indian government looks after its diplomats very well. Probably the Indian government looks after its diplomats better than any other country in the world. I must say this. It gives you the opportunity to stay in the best place in the host country where you are a diplomat in. Because when I go as a defense attaché, I go on a diplomatic status.
Okay.
Right? So the government pays for where I'm staying.
Oh. I see.
The government pays the rent, and the rent levels are such that you go into the best neighborhoods of that host country.
I see.
So we were staying in one of the best neighborhoods of the host country. So my daughter was privileged enough to attend a public school in the best neighborhoods. So you could see the primary school education system at close quarters. And even there, but as far as the issue is, they teach them things which are critical at primary. They don't burden them with subjects which don't have much value at that stage. Ultimately, what do you want a child to develop? You require a child to develop the ability to think independently through building blocks of logic and outcomes.
Correct.
Right? Number two, you require a child to be able to communicate it well.
Correct.
So,
effectively.
So what are the two critical needs a child has? The ability to think, the ability to communicate.
Correct.
In the primary school education in the youth, they only concentrate on this.
Interesting.
So much so, this is for your viewers. One day my daughter, who was in grade 3, I think at that time, she comes home with a worksheet, math worksheet, which says FOUR plus FOUR written in alphabets. FOUR plus FOUR gives you EIGHT. If every alphabet represents a unique number between 0 to 9, find all possible combinations.
Whoa!
This is a child of grade 3. So she came and handed it over to me. I had no idea what to do with it. So I Googled it, and at that time there was thankfully, regrettably, no Chat GPT. So I Googled it, and finally, out of trial and error, I found out the solutions. It's primarily a logic-based trial and error solution.
Got it.
So by
Interesting.
elimination, you use elimination to see what fits, what doesn't fit.
Got it.
Right? So the thing, once I did that, I got the various combinations. And next day when I was dropping her to school, I went and met the math teacher, and I said, this is no question to give a child in grade 3. He says, sir, we are not interested in her solving it. We are only wanting her to go through the process of logical elimination. Train her to think logically. Yes, if this happens and this happens, logically this should happen.
Got it.
If this happens and this happens, logically this should not be happening.
Correct.
Right?
Or this cannot happen.
So it is a critical thinking ability.
Got it.
You're basing it on sound factors.
Correct.
So that is the kind of, so they're not too formula ridden in anything. By the way, at that time in the embassy, we had he's still in the diplomatic community, so I will not take his name. He was a master's in math.
Okay.
And he's an IFS officer. So next day when I went to office, I took this worksheet and I gave it to him. And I told him, can you solve this? Because I had done it through trial and error. So I said, can you solve this? After about half a day, comes to my office. He says, sir, I have tried various. He's showing me multiple formulas. And none of the formulas fit. So a master's in math, even now, is process bound in trying formulas. He is not looking at the foundations of that problem. That shows
which is what, because of which he failed to
solve it. That is what is the problem with our education system. So somebody whom you would think that should be able to do advanced math easily, but advanced math, to do that, you better know what are the building blocks. So if you are not able to identify the building blocks even after having done that, then it shows the flaws in
I think this is actually what, as you're saying, I'm thinking. That's why Indians are so bad in innovation, but so good in service industry.
And so good in replicating something.
There's one, somebody gives it to you,
you are able to
you're just able to do it. But you're not able to think because you need a framework. You can't create your own framework.
So our identification strategy should say that our system is failing because of, let's say, our teacher competence need to be improved, and the foundation of our education needs a radical change. Then we are able to produce the right people.
Rebooting
that. So So and the same thing with the Japanese teach you social skills. I know there was some time ago, you would have also seen it in LinkedIn. A video was floating around
of the kid.
Yes, right, on a bus.
Yes,
you saw that?
Yes. You can tell they are. We'll find that.
So they showed in a classroom in Japan. Again, a primary. I think it would have been grade 2 or something. The whole class is organized like a bus. That means one desk in front, who's the driver, and the seats behind. They show a child coming in with a beard and a walking stick. That means the elderly one coming in. As soon as that person walks in, one of the child from a desk gets up and offers the seat. So they are bringing in social skills and social sensitivity from a very young age. Let's say we do that about traffic rules, you'll find that none of our people will be breaking red lights.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
These are the things we need to concentrate on in foundational education.
But if you come into the schools now, all the parents are breaking all the rules. And so the next generation is being taught that by the father.
Absolutely.
He's dropping on the median sometimes. Can you imagine?
Or sometimes they're sitting behind and making them drive the scooter.
I mean, come on, guys, wake up.
Yeah, so these are things which I think ultimately, because every time we say, we have such a large youth population, it's of no use. Correct. Unless you train.
Quality is important than quantity.
So that is my first message. And second message again is on foundational skills. There is a person called James Heckman. I read in Times of India again many months ago, in some research of his, which is over a 40-year period, which I have quoted many times to the schools and institutes which were under me in my last appointment, that they tracked people over 40 years. So this research has this individual, James Heckman and his team, tracked people over 40 years. Basic premise or the questioning was, what dictates how much you earn in later life? And you'd be surprised to know that 80% of your earning capability, which is equated to success in society, is dictated not by your IQ,
Hmm.
not by your education levels. It is
EQ?
dictated by your foundational personal skills of discipline, resilience, perseverance, ability to take rejection. Those are things which,
Really?
yes, he
My
said
goodness.
80%. It is not small number.
Whoa! Of course, it's
So,
a serious number.
If everything is going to be decided by your foundational skills, then our schools should be concentrating at the primary. My theory is, this is
What are
what
the four? Can you please repeat the four again?
discipline,
Mm.
self-discipline.
Mm,
The ability to regulate your activities
correct.
to a greater good.
Correct.
Resilience,
Correct.
the ability to withstand shocks.
Correct.
Perseverance.
Correct.
Though you fail, you keep,
Be at it,
attempting,
keep at it.
And robustness. Robustness to take setbacks.
Got it.
So my theory, when I spoke at some time ago, when the NEP, there was a CBSE conference here. At that time, I was in uniform and running, responsible for some schools. So in that, I said my personal theory, if you ask me, is till primary level, class 5, 70% of our emphasis should be on foundational skills to build these qualities. Foundational, in this I would include even social skills. To be a productive member of society. If you're breaking a red light, you're not a productive member of society.
You're a destructive member.
Destructive. If you're not following the laws which we have committed as a community to live under, and you're not following that, you're again not a productive member of society. So
your simple thing is standing in the queue. You're standing to buy something, somebody comes on top and buys.
And he takes it as a matter of right, just because you've said nothing, he wants to come in front.
So he doesn't think he's doing it wrong.
And so these are skills, 70% up to primary you should do it, and 30% of it should be based on critical thinking and communication. As you go to 5th to 9th, you can now reduce the because hopefully you should have developed some amount of foundational skills. Reduce that to 30, bring down your critical thinking and communication to another 30, 60, and now bring in the traditional subjects. Right? Social sciences, because now you're better capable of absorbing and assimilating that. There is no sense in spending 9 years. Today's newspaper says it. Our grade 5, class 5 and class 6 read at class 2 level.
Really?
Today's Times of India has this
My
article.
Goodness. But simply some sin theta, cos theta, they teach us some things which is not even relevant.
They can't even. Absolutely. So if you can't understand what it even leads to, then what is the use of doing that? So, and now as you go to higher, let's say beyond 9th, this is the time you want to build the right base for them, undergrad and postgrad. Now you ramp up science and maths and whichever arts and humanities, the specific subject, to 70%. And reduce foundational skills to 10. Because by now those issues should have got built.
Yes.
And reduce. It has to be more adaptable.
Correct.
How can it be a single one from class 1 to class 12?
Yeah.
So unless we orient it like that, you are never ever going to.
Have you given this feedback to the government or to the UGC?
It is my personal view. Government has
but they keep asking for feedback. Why don't you write it and give it to them? I think you're sounding very it's common sense to us.
To my mind, they should take 3 schools and try. Exactly as I said, organizational change. They should try it out. Take that sample size. You will get that sample size in 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. And then see whether it's effective or not.
No, but if it's working in Japan, working in US, I think they should close their eyes and look at how to adapt it to Indian conditions.
Absolutely.
Because we are seeing them successful as the economies, and there's no debate on that fact.
Exactly.
I don't think,
every innovation which they do is a functional innovation.
Yes. We didn't talk about that, functional innovations.
In the US, I see innovation which I saw in those 3 years. It's if I'm doing something, it is because, the changes and the innovations which have happened is something which is happening on daily life. Now, if I'm finding it a problem to knock a nail in the wall and hang a painting, so they get in with that vacuum thing. Right?
Correct.
You are able to now attach anything on the wall. That's a functional innovation.
Correct.
I am hard-pressed to name one functional innovation which has come from India. One thing I can name which...
UPI.
No, not UPI, of course. Yes. That's digital. No, one mechanical function is... you're seen in these marriages, those big fans which throw water. I've not seen it anywhere else. So
and that is scented water.
And huge fans, when there's no AC. So that I've not seen anywhere else. So I presume that's a mechanical functional innovation. See, the bureaucracy has to be trained in making changes and all. How can an education ministry not have people who are trained to identify these and make changes? You have to get people like that.
And it has to happen fast. We can't wait for
Yeah,
the 20
if you
years.
wait, you're
we are
lost.
wasted. We have lost the
you
golden
lost that,
opportunity. I
absolutely.
think this is the literally next 30, 40 years. It has to change now
Change
for that impact to happen.
Absolutely.
And you also made a very interesting comment as a connected to the US about how every house has a, what is that? Workshop or something. So
Oh, right, yeah.
yes.
No, there are two other things in the US which I saw. Their ability to foster the feeling of nationhood is not, what should I say, overt. It's very subtle. So in the morning, the school raises a flag.
Every day.
Every day. The children raise a flag. The American flag is raised in that school. They go to there is no central assembly and all. They go to the classroom and they sing their anthem.
Every day.
Every day. It's done every day.
My goodness.
The NBA matches, basketball matches, there are 82 matches a team plays. One team. There are 30 teams which play.
2,000 matches of the total, it seems.
2,400.
I was reading that. Huh?
Yeah. And similarly, NFL. In every match, they troop out the flag. The National Guard uniformed people get the flag. The flag is raised. People from the audience, they select a particular school, a particular person to sing the anthem. The anthem is sung. The respect is, and only then the match starts. Nobody finds it amiss.
Amazing.
Everybody participates in it.
No wonder that feeling of nation first is so high.
You see, all the museums in Washington, D.C., entry is free. You can't get a better class of museums. Why? Because there is private money which comes and maintains it. For all schools, the entrance is free. They take the children on school trips, right from a young age. They show them. It is done up so well. American History Museum, the Space Museum, Aerospace and Space Museum, the Natural History Museums. These are all free entries. And there is private benefactors who ensure it is maintained at the highest. It's excellent in terms of the quality of display, the acoustics, the graphics of it. The whole the experience itself is a memorable experience. So so that is now built in slowly. Nobody finds it imposed.
Correct. Or in the face.
In the face. It comes in as a natural course of the rhythm of your life.
Got it.
In the rhythm of life you're taken. Now uniformed, Arlington Cemetery, if you go in, you have the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. There is a 24-hour guard on it. And that guard marches and protects the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It doesn't matter what is the weather. It could be raining, snowing, but the guard isn't open. There is no shelter. He is marching in the open. So I gave you that example some time ago. I don't know how many decades ago. There was a huge storm there, prediction, and they said you have to go in. They refused. They said this is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It will be guarded irrespective of what kind of weather emergencies there are. This is not going to be vacated. And they remained there. So that now, when you talk about culture, these actions build culture.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Ethos get built by what is
nationalistic
culture. And
nationalistic
this is
culture.
not negotiable, you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
So if it is
and it's
not
religion-based.
Absolutely.
It's purely nation-based.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
that's the pride that you should have.
So
I think.
These are things which, it's extremely important. As a country, they have one benefit is that they fought for independence and they got independence, right? As a people, they are independent. They don't want to be dependent on anybody. I gave you an example. My neighbor was a over 80-year-old man, alone, living alone. And when I was mowing my lawn, because there, as a community, when you live, you can't let the grass grow beyond. You have to, keep it. So I went to him and I offered to. He took offense at it. He says, "What do you think I'm incapable of cutting my lawn?" And over 80, must be 83, 84-year-old man, and he cuts his lawn. He doesn't want help from anybody. So there is a strong sense of independence that I am not dependent on you. I can look after myself. So it has both pros. I'm not saying that everything is good in that, because family support, after all, is a strength.
Yes,
right?
Emotional strength.
But in their case, they pride themselves on not wanting any kind of support from anybody, near or far. And the second thing is, every house, one maybe because handymen are so expensive, everybody knows how to do minor repairs in any kind of, whether it be plumbing, electricity, woodwork.
My brother-in-law does everything. Yeah,
So
he's got all the stuff
there. Yeah. But of course, they have tools which allow you to do that. The power tools which are excellent.
Cool. I agree.
They have that. But they take pride in their ability to do that. So one last example I'll give you. Once my central AC had packed up. So I spoke to the person I was renting from. It's packed up. So he said, "Don't worry, I'll send somebody. My friend is there. He runs a HVAC company. I'll send him." So this man who came to my house at 11 at night was about 65 years old,
Mm.
right? He runs his own company. He comes in and he looks down and says, okay, there is an issue with this part. I will change it. Then when he opens that unit, he says, I think this requires a deep cleaning and servicing. It's at 11 at night, imagine. He says, you go to sleep, I'll finish it and I'll push off. I said, no, I would like to see what you're doing. For next 2.5 hours, he talked to me through every action he was taking. See the passion he had and the interest and pride he had in his
In his work.
ability to do that. A 65-year-old man.
At 11 o'clock in the night.
At 11 o'clock at night. He finally finished at about 2:30.
Amazing.
But he had gone through and he was, as energetic as ever. He says, there, now it is fit and it is good enough to go for a number of more years. And that is it. That is the kind of pride and ownership if we get in our own functions and then our standards automatically go up.
I think so. I think you have actually finished it very well, because what Major General Saab is saying is very clearly is, number one, nation first, and for that you have to have the feel and the pride of being a strong nation, flag hosting every day, singing the national anthem every day as children, training them on critical thinking skills. I think these are fundamental things to produce better, citizens who are better than the previous generation, to make it happen. And self-help, living with the freedom. And I think that's the way it is. I think you got the message very, very clearly.
Hopefully. So
thank you very much for such a
pleasure.
fantastic
Thank you
chat
so much
we had. I think
for giving me the time.
So at the end, the leadership, as what I say, the leadership has to be a visionary cheerleader and a pit boss. I said it so many times. You have to be on the ground.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I wind up here, you have to understand one thing, that you have to subscribe to our channel, click the like button, share this video and everything else that we have put on the channel. Hit the like button and the bell icon. And of course, please put your comments in. You never know how it's going to help. And for people like Major General Saab, who has made such a big impact on our lives and people around us, and for protecting us within his team, a major salute to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the time and giving me an opportunity. For reaching more than my family. My family gets tired of me talking. So I have got a larger audience definitely for my family. So I look forward to, I really enjoyed the opportunity.
And we are going to release this video on Kargil Diwas Day.
Oh, excellent.
So if you have any message that you want to give to people, we would love to hear, to the armed forces and others.
Yeah, first, of course, we are indebted to people who sacrifice their lives. Ultimately, Kargil war, or any war for that matter, operations indicates individuals sacrificing lives for the larger good of the community.
Yes.
So for that, we are obligated to them and to their families. So it is, I take pride in the fact that I belong to an organization which contributes in this manner. And it is not to say that any organization can contribute, as long as it is towards the larger good. When we are all looking to an industry contributes by creating jobs.
Correct.
It is for a larger community. So on Kargil Diwas, of course, it's a famous victory. And but yes, we remember the people who lost their lives there. We remember the sacrifices made.
Absolutely.
And we commemorate it for a simple reason, that tomorrow when an opportunity or an incident happens again, people don't shy away because they know they are going to be remembered.
Correct.
That is extremely important, that we remember people who sacrifice whatever they say, whether it be their lives, limbs,
Absolutely.
There are so many ways we show our contribution. So we, as long as we remember them, then this gets perpetuated and people are more willing to participate in such activities.
Absolutely.
So this commemoration, I think, is extremely important. That's my last...
Perfect. And one thing I did forget to mention, Major General Saab was, got into Jammu and Kashmir 5 days before the abrogation of Article 370 happened. So you can imagine what that means. He was there for the next 2 years, making sure the after effects of that has no civilian casualties. And I think he and his team played a fantastic role for that.
They did an excellent job.
Sir, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir,
we are indebted to you and your team. So pleasure very much, and thank you very much.
Likewise.
Jai Hind.
Yeah, Jai Hind. Thank you.
So Major General Saab, the last action is for me to give you a gift. We give all our guests this book, a book written by us called Rebooting the Brain.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Please
It will
do
be
give a...
very interesting and happy reading for me.
Yes. Thank you very much, and please do give your feedback for
Yeah,
that.
sure. Thank you.
And for the audience, please don't forget, we have a book called Rebooting the Brain available on Amazon. We've got a documentary called Rebooting the Brain, and so much other things on Rebooting the Brain. Please reboot your brain.
I have a sad story to tell about a young 18-year-old girl who was studying in an engineering college.
Okay.
First year, she had come all the way down from Delhi. She came to the clinic, to a hospital with her friends, parents not here. Leg pain, leg swelling, not just the leg, including the thigh. She was in discomfort, she was in pain. So I said, when did this start? She says, I had to take some hormonal pills to stop my periods because there was a puja. And this is one of the conditions which causes a deep vein thrombosis, one of the risk factors. Happens once in a while. And we got a scan done. The clot was almost till the near level of umbilicus, that is the common iliac vein.
And just for 3 days?
3 days.
Of the tablets.
Of the
Crazy.
tablet, 3 days after that. And
My
then we
goodness.
told her as well as the friends, all young kids, teenage kids, first year of engineering. No, it's a serious condition, needs admission. And they were not ready for admission. They said, no, we don't want to get admitted. I said, let me talk to the warden. Spoke to the warden. They said, no, we can't take a decision. The parents have to take a decision. So it was, I insisted on speaking to one of them or any family member who's a doctor. So I ended up speaking to the father itself, educated person, well-meaning person. So I told him, it's very important for us to admit her and treat her. So he said, Doc, mother is saying no. I'll be coming tomorrow morning and then we will meet you. Unfortunately, in the middle of the night, I get a call at around 2 a.m. saying that, a young girl has been rushed into the casualty emergency section and she is not breathing.
Gone.
I felt so miserable.
In spite of doing it.
I thought, I should have
caught them by the collar and put them inside.
I should have done that. I spoke to them, but maybe my convincing skills were not good enough.
Called Diwas, Jain Institute of Vascular Surgery. And you just celebrated 25 years recently. So, I mean, more rather than me saying, let's hear it from you. And what is this that keeps this team buzzing? I see your whole team, different people from different, levels you have in your organization, but working like, a well-oiled machine. Everybody knows what they're doing. I am personally a recipient of that because, when you operated my mother, and for the arterial insufficiency, and so I was the caregiver of the patient, and both me and my mother were fascinated by the way your people took care of her. So thank you very much. She's doing very well, and we saw the attention to details. In fact, I could keep telling my team that we have a lot to learn from the vascular surgery department as attention to detail that everyone is following, and not just people like Vivek is following. So can you tell us, how did you put this whole team in place?
Very fortunate in having a mentor called Dr. Suresh.
Correct.
I mean, Dr. Suresh and me and Dr. Vinaya, who's a clinical podiatrist, were the people who started this department 25 years back.
Got it.
We moved away from a different corporate hospital into Jain Hospital, and the management of Jain Hospital were very, very magnanimous and had the foresight to see that vascular surgery could grow to this level.
You are saying now people don't understand 25 years ago, so it would have been crazy.
They had faith in us, and then being in a trust-based hospital, you're able to reach out to a lot more sections of the society or strata of the society than when you're in a corporate hospital. So the numbers started increasing. Our results were good, started getting better, and we formed a team First it was Dr. Suresh and Diwas, Vivek, Vinaya, then came Dr. Vishnu, and then came Dr. Sumant. Now we've got two more youngsters,
Correct.
Nikhil and Rahul.
Correct.
And you won't believe it, our team is the only unbroken team in the entire country. 25 years, and
Counting.
there is not a single person who's left us and gone.
Amazing,
So we
amazing.
feel thrilled
Amazing,
about it.
amazing.
And it's not just the doctors. Usually doctors tend to take a lot of credit, surgeons take a lot of credit. If nobody gives it, we steal the credit. And when I was 45 and one, then I was just sitting in the hospital thinking about bike ride and all this stuff. Then there was a neurosurgeon called Dr. Asha Bakshi.
I remember her. Yes.
Yeah, she said, she said, what are you planning? I was making a route map. I said, I'm going on a bike ride and making. She just looked at me and said, midlife crisis.
Why did you say that?
I don't know why she said that, but then I realized that, I said, maybe.